wondering why YouTube is deciding to be a little bitch right now. But anyway, here we are, and welcome to the Vomitorium, episode 53, I'm assuming. I wrote it before we started, but I can never remember that by the time we actually do. I am your host, The Metal, as always, and joining me is my co-host, other side, Marsupial Gamer, and Buck's here, who's the mod for the server. I actually flipped my camera around, so on the screen, I have to actually point in the opposite direction. I'm not mirrored anymore. But for you guys, I'm probably also the opposite because Discord mirrors things.
Yeah. Point in the direction of your television.
Yeah.
That's where button is.
Yeah, that's. I'm trying to remember that. Then I also have to remember that the television is behind me and what direction it is.
Yeah, well, that too.
Yeah.
Come on, I can see your television. Why can't you?
I actually can in the mirror. If I look up in the mirror, that would actually solve the problem because there's a mirror right in front of me. I need to remember that.
I forgot to turn on my video, so I'm going to turn it on, but it's probably going to mute me for a few seconds. So be right back.
That's fine. Yeah. And if anybody's been paying attention, I've been hyping this up somewhat for the last few weeks. We delayed it a week. Today is our Best of 2020 show. It's like an award show, except with no awards, and we just shoot the shit about the things we like during the year, because award shows are bullshit. So yeah, I came up with really broad and arbitrary categories that everybody's going to have to answer something for. Some things might be serious, some things might be jokes, and some things might just be bullshit that they came up with at the last second. Who knows? Only you can decide.
And I'm going to continue to eat chips, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you tell me to stop.
As long as it's not too loud and distracting. And you're not doing something like belching into the microphone or something like that.
I'll try. Well,
Yeah.
See, here's the problem. I started my job this week.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got off, like less than an hour ago. So I had to quickly get dinner and quicklier eat it.
I think you just say even quicker.
Even more quickly.
Yeah.
Eat it. And also, I forgot to shave this morning.
Because they're cooking dinner right now. And, well, sad part, this is often the case on podcast days. People like to eat dinner while I'm already in the podcast, so I often have to just reheat things after they've already been cooked afterwards. It's the choice for deciding to cast at this time, but it's such a good hour for casting.
True.
Yep.
My room is also a mess because I got a new hard drive for my computer.
Why does that equate to your room being a mess?
Well, it's all in pieces. It requires like some assembly required, apparently.
Okay.
It's really tiny, actually. It's amazing. I was amazed at how incredibly small and light it is. It's a 1 terabyte SSD. There you go.
Yeah.
But I had to put it in an enclosure. See how thin it is?
Yeah, because like all SSDs are. I've got another terabyte one over there. It's about the same size. They're basically built to be able to put into laptops, and they're kind of uniform. So to put it into a desktop, you kind of have to mount it.
Yeah, look how thin that is. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah. Yeah, watch. I got
barely
right
weighs
here.
the thing.
I'll be right back.
So then I had to attach it to this big thing, and I've got screws all over the place, and screwdrivers. Crazy. Cords.
I've got this one right here. See, it's really small. I've got an adapter for it, so I can just plug it straight in like a USB. I do need to enclose it. I keep it pretty safe. Static doesn't get towards it anyway, though that's not as big of a problem with SSDs as it is with hard disk. But it basically just becomes an external because of the adapter I got for it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, this is going to be an internal, so I'm going to soup up my computer so it won't be so slow. Mm-hmm. And also, the other thing, so these were with Amazon gift cards that I got for Christmas, by the way. Paid for most of it. Also, a brand new Wii remote. Yay!
Hey, nunchuck.
and a nunchuck, yeah. Which I had to get. This was more important. This I've been wanting to play. What's it called? Skyward Sword on the Dolphin emulator,
Mm-hmm.
and it requires Motion Plus, and the only other Wii remote I had didn't have Motion Plus. So,
So is that one of the ones with the Motion Plus built into it?
Yeah, yeah.
No.
It's a third party, so it just says like Motion 2 and 1, but that's what it means.
Yeah.
So late Christmas gifts, basically.
Well, if you stream it, I'll be sure to watch it because I really liked Skyward Sword, but as I explained, I think during Rick's stream, a lot of the middle of that game is like a haze to me, like I was on a fever dream. I remember the beginning very well, I remember the end very well, and I remember like very like specific parts to it, like that one dungeon where you're on the pirate ship and you're using the time mechanic and it keeps going from desert to sea. And there's a lot of very specific parts, but the middle of it's a haze, and I think it's because it's the only Zelda game I've only played once, aside from Twilight Princess.
Exactly the same way. And I had to go back and look, and it only came out in 2011. I'm surprised because I remember so little of it. I thought maybe it came out earlier than that, but it's, yeah. I played it and beat it, I'm sure, in 2012, and never touched it since then.
Yeah.
But I just remember I played it sort of with my son, who would have been 7 at the time. He basically just watched me play it, and he very much enjoyed it. So, but yeah, I've only played it once.
Yeah, I think that one and
the same way.
Twilight, I think, is the only other one I've only played once. Even the DS games that kind of line up with Wind Waker, I've played more than one time.
Yeah, when I recently played the HD version, I had the HD version for years and never actually played it. So when I recently played it, I don't know, was it sometime earlier this year? Oh, that's on my shirt.
It might have.
I can barely remember because it might have been earlier. Yeah, ago. I think it was early this year, I think, and 2020, and I could barely remember it either because I hadn't played it in even longer.
Yeah, I think you finished it just before, because you had moved into a different playthrough. I think you were starting Dragon Quest 11 or whatever the CG one you were on.
Oh, maybe.
Just before you had your problems with the homelessness and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you had to stop streaming altogether.
I occasionally streamed from my hotels.
Yeah, but I think it ended just before that because even with the hotels, sometimes you're getting problems and stuff like that.
Yeah. But so yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm going to be streaming it anytime soon because I'm still in the middle of Final Fantasy 2.
Yeah.
And I actually want to get to Final Fantasy 3 as soon as possible because I've got that on Steam now and I love it. I want to play it. But
yeah.
I figured I've got a gift card. These things are cheap. Might as well get it now.
Yeah. Man, I'm really upset that the music is deciding to be a bitch today.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, here. Maybe this is the problem. I just refreshed everything.
Okay. There we go. GMT says, quicklier. I like it. It sounds like something a duck going through a hand-cranked meat grinder.
That might be Quacklier.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, well, I don't know. Yeah, 3's a good one. Much better than what you're on, so that'll be an improvement. I think everything's an improvement from 2 at this point.
You know what's funny is I've seen a lot of people mentioning 2 and saying like they got Final Fantasy 2 for Christmas and stuff like that. And I'm like, why am I seeing it everywhere all of a sudden?
I don't know.
And I'm like people on Twitter, I'm replying to them saying, well, I actually like the game, but it really does suck, or this game has major problems, but I do like it.
I'm wondering how you can even get it for Christmas. That's the thing.
I saw someone post they got like PSP games. They must have a PSP, PlayStation Portable, and they showed like physical PSP boxes. of 1
Yeah,
and 2?
yeah, there's a PSP version of it. Like, there's a PSP, like, version of Origins. It's not Dawn of Souls, which is weird, right?
Oh.
Because Dawn of Souls was made before the PSP came out. Yet the PSP version doesn't have everything Dawn of Souls has in it. It's, like, basically just an upscale of the Origins version.
You know, it's funny. I remember playing the Dawn of Souls version of Final Fantasy 1. I don't think I ever played it with 2.
Yeah, they're both on the same cart. You just never bothered to go to the other one.
Yeah, probably because I had played 2 on Origins and really didn't like it and got sick of it and quit playing it. So, but I enjoyed the Dawn of Souls version of 1 because there was like extra dungeons.
Oh, and it used MP instead of the spell slots.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice.
It is the definitive version of 1. It basically takes 1 and makes it into a modernized Final Fantasy game.
GMT says she has a PSP with a UMD on it in the same box as my Spectrum. I should find that box. See? ZX Spectrum. It's like the favorite. Every nerd in the UK loves the ZX Spectrum.
It's probably because it was mostly what was available, right?
I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's like, especially Europe. A lot of people in general have this, like, fondness for Final Fantasy VII. But especially in Europe, even more so than the States, Final Fantasy VII is, like, the first Final Fantasy. Because the only one they had before that was Mystic Quest. None of the other Final Fantasies had gone to Europe.
Huh. Crazy.
Yeah. So it's all about availability, really, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think people here are that crazy about the Commodore 64, which is kind of the equivalent, or came out around the same time. But I am quite nostalgic about my Apple IIc that I had. I never had a Commodore.
Yeah. I
also got a new chair.
Those are before my time, I think.
You like my chair? I realized, like, since starting work, I realized that I hadn't been sitting in my old chair for like 8 hours a day, apparently. Only a couple hours a day. When I started sitting in it for 8 hours a day, I was like, oh my God, I need a new chair. This is awful. So I had to get a new mesh, nice task chair.
I get up and walk around, so I do break up the monotony, but most of what I do is on the computer, right? So I'm in front of it for anywhere between a minimum of 10 to up to 18 hours a day, depending on how the day is going, right? Most of the time it doesn't get towards the latter. It's probably closer to 10 to 12, but... And lately, because I've been in here, because I can record and stream in here, and it's also just very peaceful, and I work easier that way. This is the chair I've been sitting in. Is a metal folding chair with a cushion.
That probably would be more comfortable than the chair I was in.
Probably.
Which was a wooden, like, I don't know what you call them. It was a college chair from my dad's college. Yeah. Have you ever seen those wooden chairs with the logo on the back?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I realized, like before I started working at my new job, I was like, I'd lay on the bed and fiddle on the computer, or I'd sit other places, but I've had to be here. I'm walking around every once in a while, but like, because I've been on conference calls all day, every day. So, oh well. So I'm set. I can do the Vomitorium all day. I'm comfortable.
Well, luckily, we don't have to do the Vomitorium all day. It's only for 3 hours. But I think that's actually probably a good time. We've been rambling for 15 minutes to actually start getting into the nature of this program. I figured rambling would be fine to try to let other people get in, but if they're late, they're late. They'll have to just catch whatever, hop in where they are, and if they miss stuff, they miss stuff. So the first category that we could talk about was video game of 2020. Any interactive media focused on user agency counts as a video game. So that's anything from as simple as a visual novel to the most interactive, high-stakes action game you could possibly find.
So I haven't done this award show before. Do you usually talk about honorable mentions or others that you might have thought about?
This is a new tradition for the Vomitorium. We didn't do it in the Legacy version, so we're making the tradition right now. We want to do some honorable mentions. We can. Let's fill time.
Because I was thinking, as I was going through this, over the last week, in the last 20 minutes, I was thinking of games that different things in each category, and I was like, well, this one or that one. So might mention the other ones that I considered and why I chose the one I did.
Yeah. Absolutely, you can go first if you want.
No, I've been talking enough. You go.
Okay, well, let me pull up my scrap paper, because I actually did write down everything that I picked. This one might seem like it came out of left field, because I don't even think a lot of people have heard of this game, but I really like it. I haven't gotten to play it yet, but it's one of those games that even from watching it, I've watched a lot of it. I'm interested in it. I need to get a PC copy of it. You can tell it's a good game. Like, it's well crafted. It's got a lot of good stuff about it, and it's called Kandagawa Jet Girls. It's made by the same company that does the Senran Kagura games, and it's jet racing with party items. So think like Mario Kart in a way, but like jet skis. And it's like Double Dash. You have two people on each one. It's teams. So there's like somebody driving and somebody throwing the items, but it can be played completely single player. And the thing is, it doesn't remind me of Mario Kart, though, despite the Double Dash part to it. It reminds me more of my favorite racing game of all time, which is the Snowboard Kids series by Atlas. That was very popular on the Nintendo 64. There was 1 and 2, and there was also a third one on the DS later on. It wasn't as good because it just wasn't like it. And it's basically all the hijinks that you expect from, like, the world and creators of Senran Kagura, but with hot babes on jet skis throwing items at each other, jumping over ramps, and trying to beat each other in a race. Cool. It's very solid, very fluid from what I've seen, and I've got good reviews. I've only watched it, but I've probably watched about 100 hours of gameplay of it total.
Wow.
Yeah. It was during earlier on the year. I was like really into it and just did not fall into my budget to get the game yet, and I still haven't. I need to. I should have checked to see if it was on sale during the winter sales. But
you have a PS4?
No, it's on PC as well.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Kandagawa Jet Girls.
Yeah. And those are the type of games like I'm really into. Like you can ask Buck here. How much into Snowboard Kids am I? Like, you even go back to my my gaming channel and see some of our older videos.
Yeah, I mean, half of those videos are you playing Snowboard Kids with me, your brother, and pretty much anybody else you could convince to play it.
Dude, especially 2, Snowboard Kids 2 is like the best game.
I'm going to put a link to the Steam store page.
Yeah.
In case anyone wants to check it out. I found it. Apparently it was 30% off, and now it's not anymore.
Dang. Should have got it when it was off. Might be what I spend some of my Trump bucks on. I've been meaning to get it for a while. I just keep forgetting to get it. Because there's other things that are just, like, more important at the time. But I'm probably... when I do get it, I'm going to spend way too many hours playing that game. If I was going to say an honorable mention, though, it would probably end up being either Animal Crossing or Genshin Impact, just because those are the new games this year that I spent the most time in. I don't think they're good enough, necessarily, to get like a best game of the year reward, either of them, but I have to honorably mention them just because of how much time I've spent in both of those games. From my own personal perspective, you know. So how about you?
I don't. I guess I don't need to share my screen. I was just watching video of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was wondering if I was wondering if you had played it, but I guess not yet.
No. I have enough
that-
experience, at least just watching it. It's one of those games that you can tell the craftsmanship just by looking at it, and you expect it to, because if you've ever played a Senran and Kagura game, those things are made really well for the game type that they are.
Yeah.
And people hate them just because they're sexy.
I mean, it's basically looks like Mario Kart on jet skis with cute anime chicks.
Yeah.
Oh, you can like shoot at people.
Yeah,
you
they
have,
got
a second
water
player
guns and stuff, and yeah.
or a second character on your jet ski.
Yeah, it's got like the double dash mechanic almost.
Oh, and it's got customization. Oh my gosh, it's right up your alley.
Yeah. You see why it's my choice.
Yeah, you can customize your jet ski. Wow. Sounds good. All right. Well, I picked one of your honorable mentions.
Oh, good.
So I thought, I mean, there've been some decent games. I guess the Final Fantasy VII remake, didn't that come out this year?
Yeah, and so I'm usually against remakes. I was even kind of critical towards Final Fantasy VII when it was getting awards at the big game award show. But much like the Resident Evil remakes, it is transformative enough that it's its own thing.
Yeah, it's quite different. And number one, I haven't played it, and I haven't really watched any footage. And I've heard it's not as good as the original, frankly. I mean, it's better in some ways.
I've seen a lot
of
footage, and I can tell that it's not as good as the original.
Yeah, so I didn't pick that. And my other possible option was probably Age of Calamity. But I got to tell you, I'm just, and it may just be me. I'm not sure that there's anything wrong with the game in particular, but I'm just not nearly as addicted to it as I was to the original Hyrule Warriors, which, like I think I've said, I've bought 3 times.
Yeah.
And I've probably played 1,000 hours on each of the 3 versions separately. But anyway, so I'm going to pick Animal Crossing. Mostly because it's just the game that I've played the most this year. Well, I'll tell you, actually, the main reason is because of the anticipation of it.
Yeah, because you've had the copy for a long time.
Well, yeah, but not even that. I was anticipating it for a year before that when they announced that it was supposed to be released in 2019 in the fall. Yeah. And they announced the delay in, I believe, spring of 2019. They announced that it would be delayed until the following spring, and I was so pissed that it was going to be delayed because we've been waiting for 7 fucking years, I think.
The thing is, if you're a longtime Animal Crossing fan,
I know.
This should not have shocked you at all because they do this almost every single time. Because if you go back to New Leaf, which I had pre-ordered the previous year before it had come out, at the beginning of the year, because it said it was going to come out in fall of that year. But then it's like, no, it's coming out in spring. This happens every time, and I think they do it on purpose too, for precisely that reason, because it builds up anticipation. And Animal Crossing's kind of become a spring game,
I guess.
And they keep announcing that it's going to come out in fall, and then it keeps getting pushed back to the next spring, almost every single time.
Well, I'll remember 6 years from now to not believe them when they say it's coming out.
Yeah.
In fall of 2027 or whatever.
Maybe the one time they don't and they actually come out on time.
Yeah, so I've been anticipating. So I didn't play any of the older ones. I played New Leaf. And I didn't play it when it first came out. My girlfriend introduced it to me years after it came out. And she was telling me how she played it and her sisters played it, and it was so great and addictive and everything. I was like, what do? You just have a town and what? Pick up shells? Oh my god, I was so addicted to New Leaf. It was unbelievable.
That's everybody for the most part. They'd be like, Animal Crossing sounds stupid, and then they play Animal Crossing.
Yeah. So I was incredibly... Imagine what Duke Nukem fans felt like, says GMT. Or we're still the Half-Life fans. Well, they got a Half-Life game this year, too. Right?
The closest thing to Half-Life 3 you're ever going to get.
That's right. So anyway, it does have its issues, but I have to say it's a worthy successor, I think, to New Leaf. I
Yeah.
mean, uh, you know, I don't think. I mean, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but most of the complaints that I've seen is like, well, Pataya was talking about this. Like they say the same things. Some of the same types of characters say this. Wasn't that the case in New Leaf in like every
So,
version?
and I think I even expanded on this last time when he brought it up. It
Hmm.
is and it isn't the same, right? So,
Okay.
the further back you go and the less animals there were in the town, the more unique each of their personalities were. Like, they still fit inside
Yeah.
camp, so there was like the jocks, the preps, the old man, and stuff like that. But each one of them had like dialogue that was like curtailed to that character. They had like a
Hmm.
backstory. They'd say a lot of different things. You find out like, oh, this character's got this many siblings and stuff. And they talk about their home life and everything. Or some of
Hmm.
them even bullied you just because that was kind of part of their personality. Like they were snobs and just
Yeah.
pushing you around and stuff. And that's like the original. And the more and more animals they add, the less and less unique they were. And they started, even like the ones who used to be unique, started becoming
Hmm.
more, I guess, sanitized to the point that they just matched into this is what all the jocks say every time. This is what all the
Yeah.
preps say every time and stuff like that.
Well,
And
see,
it's
so
hit
I
like a
haven't.
height here in New Horizons because there's just so many animals. Some of them you can even blame Pocket Camp for because there were animals that were original to Pocket Camp that are even being introduced into this game.
Mhm. Well, I can't complain about that because I haven't been
Yeah.
playing long enough, and so I don't think I've gotten two of the same personality type yet.
Yeah.
Or if I have, I haven't noticed because I've only had, I have my 10 on my island, but I've only had like two or three of them leave and get replaced.
Yeah.
Um,
So there was at least
so,
one point, I think it was around City Folk, which is why New Leaf wasn't so bad, since City Folk is at halfway at this point, right? It's the third game in, where they
mhm,
added more types, right? So there were less like I guess camps as you call them or factions
mhm,
of animals in the first game, but they all had like unique personalities to them. Then
yeah,
their personalities started getting less and less unique as they added more, but like halfway through, they added more types of personalities to try to counterbalance it. And
yeah,
then, the process repeated over and over. So it's a lot easier to make sure you don't end up with the same personality type, but if you do get two
mhm,
of them, it becomes really noticeable really fast.
yeah, I'm sure. Well, just to wrap it
Yeah.
up, my only complaint about the game is in New Leaf, I really liked how there was that separate tropical island that you could go to and do
Yes.
different things. Like you could get different when you dove and when you went fishing, you'd get different types of fish, like more tropical stuff. You get sharks and that sort of thing.
Yeah, because it's
And,
summertime all the time there, so it's always shark season.
right,
Yeah.
right. So in this one, you're already on a tropical island. Even if you go to other islands, it's all the same.
Yeah.
You're getting all the same stuff. They may have different flowers, but it's like that's it.
Yeah, or you might go to an
So that
island that has an increased chance of catching scorpions or tarantulas, which
tarantula.
always sell well, but
Yeah.
it's stuff like that.
Yeah, but I found there's a bit more variety in being able to go to the island in New Leaf. And having to fix your stuff that breaks doesn't really bother me.
Oh no, it doesn't
I
bother
do,
me this one at all.
yeah, I do wish there was maybe an intermediate step between sort of the regular tools and the gold tools.
I wish the
Maybe
gold tools
silver.
didn't break. Like if
Well,
any
yeah,
item didn't break, it was the gold ones because
that right. That's what I wish is that if they had made the silver ones more like the gold in that they do break, but it just takes a lot longer, and then have the gold just maybe be more difficult to get, but then be unbreakable.
yeah.
That's the only thing I wish. But other than that, I mean, that's probably why I picked it. Just I've had the most fun with it and and also I got it for my birthday in May and couldn't play it until like October. So, but that's been my favorite game of 2020.
Yeah, yeah, well, it is a
Evil.
good pick. So it was my runner-up for a reason. I personally didn't feel like on its own it deserved my reward, but that's personal feelings. It's still a good runner-up, so it makes sense that it's yours.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, I could not get into Genshin Impact. I tried. I
Yeah.
tried.
And,
Maybe later. It's still there. I still have it installed. It may actually. It might have been. I don't really remember, but I might have been kind of annoyed at how long it took to like. It might have been a little bit, clunky for me. And now that I've got my new hard drive, I'll try it again.
Yeah. And it's it's a lot better too. Like it's been patched many times since then. I find even some of like the problems that I had at the beginning with controls and everything aren't really there anymore. Because sometimes my character is just
cool.
jumping off things for no reason and stuff like that. They fixed a lot of the problems, and there's more content now. Like there's a whole other area that wasn't there. It's a very annoying area, but it's still more content. So, it could be more enjoyable for somebody who's basically hopping in new.
I will try it again.
Yeah, but like I said, there's also really good reasons why I think that one didn't deserve my my vote for Game of the Year either.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still a good run.
And we're not going to. Well, is it Buck's turn? Is he going to?
Yeah, he gets to pick. He's here.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm back. My audio is still confusing me a bit because I keep seeing the circle flash, but as far as I can tell, you guys still couldn't hear me when the circle's flashing, so it's just being weird.
That's just cool.
Yeah, I heard you just now.
But yeah, as for my pick for Video Game of the Year, there was only like 3 real big choices for me because pretty much all the ones I've been enjoying for 2020 were remakes, and like Metal, if it is a remake of an old game or just a remaster of it, I definitely do not count it as a game for this year.
It'd have to be like fully transformative.
Yeah. Like, the only one I even closely might have given a pass for is the Spyro Reignited trilogy, simply because they had to rebuild those games from scratch.
But it still plays exactly the same.
But yeah, so I wasn't going to. So, in my opinion, I'd say my game of 2020 is Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity.
Which I still haven't played, despite the fact that it's in this house.
Yeah. Runner-up would be, surprisingly enough, a Ubisoft game, Immortals Phoenix Rising.
Which, yeah, that did make it just in time because it came out around Christmas-ish.
It is a very fun game. I've had a lot of fun with it. But there are still, like, typical Ubisoft problems. There are glitches and bugs. It crashes on me almost constantly. It's, I've actually had to, like, figure out of the box ways to solve puzzles because the things that I was supposed to use to solve said puzzle did not spawn. So,
Which game?
Because of Immortals Phoenix Rising.
Oh, okay.
Like, overall, it is a very good game for the most part. It's basically a Breath of the Wild clone, but combat isn't a chore with breakable weapons that break if you so much as breathe on them wrong. And it is a lot, like, more... what's the word? It's more, it's kind of like loyal, something like that. I can't remember what the word is, but it's a lot closer to Greek myth than a lot of games that pull the same stuff.
Yeah, you could say loyal. Loyal to the myth is a decent term for that. It's more accurate.
Yeah, it's like a synonym. There's a synonym to loyal that's used more often, but I can't remember what the word is at the moment.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I've watched you play some of it, and I've had... You've heard me, I have a lot of complaints because I'm, like, the mythology guy. But otherwise, it's been way better than most games do in general.
Yeah, like they actually use Typhon, an actual big bad from Greek myth, instead of just randomly making Hades a villain.
Yeah. Because Hades was like almost never a villain in Greek myths. He was kind of just like there. Sometimes he was a good guy, you know? He was just doing his job.
But yeah, I've had a lot of fun with it. I've been playing it almost constantly since I got it. But those technological issues are at the moment too big to ignore. And it's also got some of the same problems as Breath of the Wild, but even more so.
Faithful.
Oh, yeah,
That's the
faithful.
word.
That's
There you
it.
go. Yeah.
I don't know. I was thinking about like what word is he trying to say?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's got a lot of the same problems as Breath of the Wild, only a little bit worse. The world feels extremely empty. Even regarding the fact that the gods are supposed to be around, because you only interact with like 5 of them. And the world feels really empty. There's a lot there that just feels like there should be more with the way the map is done. And there's, yeah, just technological issues that typically come with Ubisoft jank, so that's why that is an honorable mention, but not in. And the only other honorable mention I really have is Crash 4, It's About Time, because it feels like an actual Crash sequel.
Yeah, yeah. That's it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It feels like an actual Crash game. In fact, it feels more like a sequel to the original Crash trilogy than pretty much every game that came afterwards did.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. If you're a fan of Crash, which you know, I'm not, but it's one of those games that even just watching you play and watching other people play, I would recommend it to somebody if they told me they were a fan of Crash. It's like, well, it plays like Crash, you're gonna enjoy the game. But yeah, I guess that's it for our games. We can move on to the next category now, which is musical.
Wait, there was a. Sorry, I wanted to mention another honorable mention. I'm not sure if this came out in 2020, but the Steam version of Sense, a cyberpunk story, I think should get a mention. I've not played it.
2020.
I think it came out in 2020. I'm just mentioning it because their publisher is based.
Yeah, yeah. Which I think we've talked about that before a little bit.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're on to musical composition now. If there's anybody who'd like to go first, they can. If not, I'll go first.
Go ahead, because my answer is terrible.
Okay. So, well, my answer is probably also terrible, but it is well thought out and it's earnest. And anybody who's been following me could probably seen this one coming, because I've fallen into Hololive Hell. And it is the original song, Excuse My Rudeness, but Could You Please Rest in Peace by Calliope Mori, which is her rap song that she plays at like the beginning and end of every single one of her streams. And it is catchy as all hell. Cool. And I definitely recommend people listen to that. And you know, again, it's original, so it's not like most of my other options probably would have been me digging through like OC Remix. But the problem I have with that is, while I love all of those songs, even the ones that came out just this last year, they're all remixes of songs that already exist. And a lot of them are even way better than the song that they're remixing off of, but it's still like, it's not a new thing, you know? It's transformative, but how transformative is it? While this is actually like a 100% original song that I really enjoy, where the lyrics were all made by the same person, and I think it was her and Kiara made the beat and stuff in the background together, so I think it's well deserving for best original musical composition. But yeah.
Well, I don't know what that is, so I'm not going to comment.
It's a good song. Actually, I'll leave a link to it in the chat for everybody. I have actually links to all of the things here saved, just in case I wanted to drop a link. Pop that in. So what was either of yours with your seemingly dumb answer? I want to hear it.
Well, since I couldn't think of anything, and I don't really listen to music very much, and I couldn't think of any particular game, music or anything, I just chose Wet Ass Pussy because everybody was talking about it. And it's terrible. So, so I like it. I don't know. That's all I could come up with. It's the only song I know of that came out in 2020. And it's so bad it's good. But then bad again.
Yeah, well, as long as it's not, what was it, the Ben Shapiro cover of it, that's fine.
No, the original. That's all I could think of. That's the only one that I kind of copped out on, so I'll do better for the rest of it.
Buck, do you have one?
Chainbreaker by Brothers of Metal.
Oh, okay, that's a fair answer. That's a very fair answer.
I got turned on to Brothers of Metal by a different VTuber, Momo Mischief, and I really like their music. A lot of it is like heavy metal, like ballads inspired by Norse myth. They've even got another song called Hammer Thief, and it's the story of when Thor's hammer Mjolnir was stolen and what he had to do to get it back.
It's very fair. Would that entail probably my favorite North story being involved in there?
Yeah, I didn't listen to that one particularly yet.
Yeah.
But I think it's the version where he was just in disguise, though.
Yeah. So
I don't think it's the version you like more.
There's a story, I can't remember the actual name of it in the Edda, but it's the name of the guy who steals the hammer, and then it's longer, so it's like an additive name. And there was a giant who stole Mjolnir and was holding it ransom, and he said, "Hey, I'll give it back to you if you let me marry Freya." So there's many different versions of it, because a lot of the different Nordic tribes had their own variations, and the one you really see in the Edda is the one that happened later on after the tribes were reconquered and merged together. But what they had to do is Thor had to dress up as a bride in Freya's dress, because the giant was kind of blind and couldn't really make out that well, like he couldn't tell the difference. And Loki and a few of the other Aesir were like shrunken. He shrunk them down underneath the skirt of the dress, and Loki was dressed as Thor's bridesmaid. And in the middle of the wedding, the other warriors popped out and they all attacked him. But in one of the versions, it's a magical spell or like an illusion where Loki and Thor are actually a bride and a bridesmaid. That's the best version. I don't know why it didn't make the Edda. Probably because it's I think actually becoming a woman through an illusion is less emasculating than being a man in a dress. So that actually, also I don't know why that's the version that didn't happen, but whatever. It's my favorite story. It's funny. There's a lot of funny Nordic stories in the Edda. Oh,
well, I want to change mine to John Dillard's answer.
Okay, Boomer. That was a funny one too.
The Okay Boomer girl.
Was that this year or was that last year?
Was it 2018? I don't know.
I don't know. This year's been so long, I can't even tell. Apparently, it's only been the normal 365 days, but I feel like somebody just started sneaking random days in there that we have like no conscious memory of, like just inserted days.
No, that was March 2020.
Okay, well it counts.
And her Twitter account is Nicolol.
Yeah. And she was starting to gain a lot of simps until she stupidly let people know that she had a boyfriend.
Yeah, really.
You're never supposed to reveal that. That's the secret to being an e-thought.
Exactly.
Or you plan it to where they already know, and very early on you say you broke up with your boyfriend, which gives them hope, even though you never actually did.
Or if you're married, get a divorce like what's her name? Oh shit. Quartering's friend who works at like GameSpot.
Yeah, just get like legally separated, but still continue to see them anyway.
Yeah. Forget what her name was. Damn it. I almost said Meg Turney, but that's not right.
There is a Meg Turney, and didn't she get divorced this year?
I don't think so. No, I was thinking of someone else.
Oh, okay. I don't want to throw around slander if that's not the case.
Not as far as I know. As far as I know, she's still happily married. So if I think of the name, I'll say it later.
I'm trying to remember who she was with. She was like with one of the Rooster Teeth dudes, right?
Maybe Melanie Mack. Melanie Mack got divorced this.
Melanie Mack, okay.
Mm-hmm. And she seemed quite happy about it, so she publicly announced it on Twitter. I'm sure that got her a lot more followers.
Probably.
That's right. John Dillard's here.
What up, big worm?
Hey! Well, you're in time for this category if you've got a best song of 2020. Is it the same one that you put in the chat?
That's correct. That's the only song worth knowing.
Dude, you gotten 6 more backers since last night.
That's fantastic, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Oh,
Did you want me
what
to
a
go
night
next?
last night. Yeah, I was completely bombed. Dude, I finished that margarita stuff really fast because I wanted to get to my sodas, and then it all hit me at once.
Or you can go next, Metal, if you want.
What do you mean? I already went. It's time for the next category. Unless
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll go to the next category then, which is best publication. So best publication could have been literature, could have been comics, basically anything that's kind of in the form of like a pamphlet or book that was officially publicized, could be from a publisher or independent. You just have to put it out there into the world. Could be physical, could be digital. And for mine, I actually picked a piece of real literature, which was Cynical Theories, which is how activist scholarship had made everything about race, gender, and identity, and the way this harms everyone, by Helen Pluckrose and James Lindsay, which everybody might recognize those names if they follow that type of stuff, as 2 of the 3 people who were a part of the dog park studies, or the group of studies that basically infiltrated woke academia, published a bunch of satirical fake work that sounded real, and then exposed all the bullshit that was going on in there and how it's not actually following any type of journalistic scientific practices. And this book isn't specifically about that. That's more about how the things behind it have been ruining academia. But yeah, it's a good book, and I do recommend everybody read it. So I kind of, I hit on the harder note of this subject, and I hope everybody else's choices are a little bit lighter.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
GMT does want to know what Dillard's game of the year is, if he has one.
I haven't played a game this year, so.
All right.
He showed up
good,
just
'cause
in
you
time
missed
to
that.
avoid that category.
I made an
Good.
attempt. I made an attempt to go find my PlayStation. It's gone somewhere. I don't know.
All right, you ready?
Yeah. What's yours?
I want to share mine.
Okay, let me
Yeah.
make sure that I get it on screen when you do it. Here we go.
Come on. There we go. You see that?
Oh, hey, the box art for Nox Arceus.
It's no the user manual for Nox Arceus
It's not the same as the box art.
specifically. Well, it probably is. No, actually, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that it is. But specifically the manual, since this is the printed
Yeah,
publication,
it is.
and that is because this is a game. They call it an 8-bit game. I'm not even sure if it's 8 bits, but it's an Apple IIc or an Apple II game, and it's actually written for the Apple II. If you want to play it on Windows, you have to use an Apple II emulator. Came out this year, and it's it's a 8-bit computer role-playing game, and it's written in the style of Ultima 4, Ultima 5. I've only played it a little bit, but I'm super nostalgic for user manuals like this, with beautiful art on the cover. It says what once old is new again, and describes the I need the game until I've read the manual.
Yeah.
You how to play the game. You can't. I mean, it's
like
not
any
like
old
modern
school manual
games.
does. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like modern games where you can just pick it up and play it. I mean, there is a bit of a tutorial, but I'm going to be lost. I'm not really going to know what to do next unless I read this. So anyway, that's mine. And the cover art is beautiful cover art by Dennis Lubay, who did a lot of the cover art for the Ultima games. I think he did maybe Ultima. I know he did Ultima 6, 7, and 8, I believe, and Ultima Online cover art. Maybe even Ultima 9. I believe he did at least Ultima 6 onward. So Dennis Lubay is a fantastic artist. No, Stillard.
I'm sorry, did you say that he was a better artist or just a fantastic artist?
I just said fantastic.
Oh, but he apologized.
Why would he
for it.
take offense to that?
Okay, I'm just joking.
I outclassed the bum. That's what happened.
Yeah, that's right. And there's other art within the manual, and it mentions all the artists and everyone. I find some of the I'm very familiar with many of these names. Richard Garriott, allow them to use Lord British as a character in the game, but I think the main guy is, I'm guessing. I apologize if this is wrong, but Mark Lemmert, I believe, sort of spearheaded this project, and it was a Kickstarter. But yeah, I mean, even it has like background art and all kinds of stuff. So this is my favorite publication of the year, the user manual for Nox Arceus.
Yeah, I have a soft spot for user manuals too. I think it's probably because also I was really young when video games were still blossoming into like the entertainment giant they are now. So on the way home, you couldn't really play most of the games. Except maybe a Game Boy game when the Game Boy was new. But most of the games you want to play on the console, you had to wait till you get home. So you wanted something to do on the way home. And I was always reading the manuals on the car trip back because it gave me something to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's all very interesting, very interesting. But what does that have to do with What does that have to do with my life?
Nothing. Why does it have to do with you?
I think the most influential. I'm telling you, Marsupial, the most influential. What is this category called?
Publication.
Publication period. I don't know what it's called. But the most influential thing, the thing that broke everything wide open, was that Star Wars Girls Vampirella cover for that book. It basically split CG right in half and destroyed lives. People's mailboxes were getting knocked over. It's awful.
Yeah.
It caused War Campaign to section off and leave CG. It was awful.
Well,
Most
are you talking
divisive
about
book
the
of
whole book
2020.
or just the cover? Because I think if it's just the cover, that'd be a different category when we get to static art.
Nope. It's the whole book.
Whole book. All right.
Cool.
Would have
Okay.
thought that a cover could have caused so much division.
Hey, Buck, what would you have for it?
I have absolutely nothing because in all my research, the only things I could think of were either things that haven't come out yet, but I know are supposed to be coming, and things that it turned out came out in 2019, so I can't count it.
So you're copping out.
You're damn right I am.
Okay then. Well, I guess that's that for that category.
Are
We're
we
just
still
moving
live?
right along here. This is fantastic.
What'd you say, Marsupial?
I said, are we still live? Because I'm not getting anything here.
It says we're live. On my end, anyway.
Yeah.
I'm recording this anyway, just in case.
All right. Maybe it's just me.
Yeah, Twitch-wise, we're still live and audio's coming through, it's just the video is freezing.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh,
Well,
there's
I-
For
probably
me, it still shows live on YouTube.
probably having an encoding overload. That's probably the problem when it comes to the video. Oh, switch to
Yeah,
things.
switch
Okay.
So you got to switch to hardware encoding.
Yeah. Well, on my device, I'm limited to options, so. It's probably also why I'm having problems with YouTube at the moment. When it comes to the background music. I had this problem when we were doing the Hypogeum with Timothy. It's the first time I ever had this problem. I have to see what the issue is. There's probably just some change to my computer. I don't know. I need to update something. Maybe turn down some of the settings or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, it says live, but it's stuck on the same screen.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Yeah.
It'll probably be fixed eventually. I don't know. I don't know what the problem is.
Yeah, it looks like it froze at around the time that the Arcadum thing got shown, so I'm gonna blame Marsupial.
Yeah. Clearly my fault. You want to take the next one?
Yeah. We'll get into the
category?
next one. Because I'm recording, so we'll still be able to get this in the final end. The next one is best live action media. So film, show, short, whatever, as long as it was in live action. Can't have CG components if you want. There just has to be some real person in there somewhere.
Okay.
And for mine, I picked the movie Doolittle that came out at the very beginning of the year. I don't often go to theaters to watch movies, and when I do, I'm often disappointed by whatever I go to see, but I had a genuinely good time watching that movie. It felt genuine or authentic. It didn't feel like it was trying too hard. It wasn't doing sarcastic or cynical humor. It just felt like a good family-friendly adventure where everybody can enjoy themselves, and whatever bit they were doing, they stuck to it. They were like, haha, wasn't that stupid? It was just like, that happened. Enjoy it. And I like that. You don't really get a lot of just genuine movies anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Cool.
And if I did a runner-up, it'd probably be Sweet Home.
I've been contemplating watching Doolittle, but it didn't just with no information other than the movie poster. it looked dumb, so I didn't. But now I
Oh
will.
no, it's great. It's just a nice little romp, you know.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think I feel like I saw it on Netflix. Maybe it was HBO Max. I don't know, somewhere. So should be able to watch. Well, you want to hear mine?
Sure. Let's go.
So I've been watching some interesting stuff on Netflix. Some of their they have some good new, original shows and stuff. So my pick is Queen's Gambit on Netflix, which is a mini series. Forget how many episodes there are, 6 or 8, something like that. It's about a woman who is a chess prodigy who just picks up the game. It's kind of like Searching for Bobby Fischer, sort of like that movie, except it's a woman. And starts out when she's a little girl, and she gets taught by this janitor. Actually, she's an orphan, and she gets taught by the janitor at her orphanage. And I think it starts in the 60s, and it goes into the 70s and maybe the 80s. It is fiction, though. It's not a true story or anything like that. But it's cool, and she gets addicted to drugs, like as a child. Like this orphanage gets her addicted to drugs. Like they give these tranquilizers to all the children, and it allows her to hallucinate. Moving, she takes the tranquilizer at night when she's a child, and she looks up at the ceiling because she can't play. She can't just play whenever she wants. She looks up at the ceiling and hallucinates the chessboard on the ceiling, and she moves all the pieces in her mind and plays entire games every night when she goes to bed. And it ends up, it's kind of interesting because she ends up getting addicted to these drugs like well into her adulthood, but she uses them to help her play chess or help her run through chess games in her mind. She eventually gets off the drugs and can do it without them. But it's a really cool. I mean, and I think it's an interesting look into like one of these sort of not subculture, but sort of one of these like nerdy kind of communities, like that one that maybe people haven't, experienced, but it's like there is this whole, and I think it's true to real life, even though it was fiction, that there's like this whole chess community, and they all trade secrets, and they're competitive, but they also help each other, and it goes into this whole competition with Russia, the Russian champion and stuff, and of course her being a woman, nobody takes her seriously, and but yeah, and then she goes to all these tournaments and kind of goes through her whole life, and like she gets adopted, and her adoptive life is not great, but it's very interesting. I like it.
Okay. Yeah,
Queen's
I know there's a
Gambit.
lot of, despite being fiction, there's a lot of truth to it. Mostly with the whole Russian chess supremacy thing. That was a big thing for a long time.
Yeah, and there are all these guys that are like the champions when she's first getting into it are all like the American champions. They're all kind of like rock and roll sort of real popular cool guys and stuff like that. And they don't take her seriously, but then she ends up beating them one by one.
Yeah, now that is a little extreme. Like I remember hearing about that too. It's like that's not really a proper reflection of how the chess scene has ever been.
Like where the
one, you don't
champions are
really
kinda
get a lot of
prima
rock
donna-
and roll cool guys in chess, period. But
yeah.
for the most part, nobody's
donnas.
ever really said that women can't play chess. It's just more because there are women grandmasters and there have been for a long time. Except for Russia, they specifically didn't want women playing chess, but that's a completely different story.
Well, there was nothing in it. Like she never comes across a situation where they say you can't play.
Well,
But it's
I'm
just
talking
kind
about
of-
in like that whole "you don't take them seriously" thing. The biggest thing is there is a discrepancy at the highest end, where like all the best grandmasters are men, but there are women grandmasters and stuff like that. But at like the average end, there's often no real difference between men and women playing, and it's kind of been that way for a really long time.
Yeah. So they probably inserted a little politics there, but it's still a good story. So
Yeah.
that's the important thing. None of that bothers me if it's a good story and compelling and fun to watch.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, anybody else
GMT
got
said
anything?
you
Or?
like DMT says she liked Doolittle as well.
I got something. Now, here's the thing. I'm sorry, my microphone's over here. That's why I'm leaning over here.
That's fine.
But I can move it in front of me. Hold on. Okay, there we go. This movie was terrible, and this is what I'm picking for the best movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a Netflix or I don't know, Amazon Prime or something, but it was a movie called Hubie. It was an Adam Sandler movie. I think it was called Hubie Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
And the movie was god awful. Like the acting in it was terrible. The premise for the main character was stupid. The twist at the end was dumb, and everybody saw it coming. And all the characters were way too over the top, as they are in Adam Sandler films. But the town of Salem, Massachusetts, the way they set it up, the way they set up the Halloween in this town, that's where they blew their budget. Like, it was absolutely gorgeous to look at. And it was so good the way they had all the neighborhood just kind of coming out and all just being together during Halloween night. It reminded me of like the old Hocus Pocus or like the old Halloween movies where you know where everybody's at. You can almost picture living in this town because they go from place to place and everything's so tight knit. It actually evokes such strong feelings for me of nostalgia of like, oh, Halloween as a kid, that it brought some of that magic like through the screen and like into me. And I was like, that was really cool. But I can't say anything else about the movie, but that was the I enjoyed just watching that. Just that aspect of it made me enjoy that. That was the best thing that came out in 2020 as a live action for me.
Okay. There's a good reason to.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I cannot recommend this movie.
This is my favorite. It was terrible.
That sounds like 2020 in a nutshell, right there. It's my favorite, but it was terrible.
My pick is similarly because it was so awful it gave the Disney Corporation as a whole the nut shot it deserves. Mulan.
Oh. That was
Horrible
awful.
It was so
movie.
terrible.
Horrible movie, did not sell well in America, and because they went so far as to thank the CCP in the credits, it got banned in most of China as well.
Why would that cause it to get banned?
Because you're not supposed to mention the CCP.
Like, they exist, but they exist on like a level of do not acknowledge that they exist.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, the only place this could have sold was in China, but it was banned in most of it, and the few places that showed it were pissed off because of how it treated Chinese culture. So it was like one of their biggest losses they've ever had.
Sounds good. Cause fuck Disney.
Pretty
Yeah.
much, yeah.
But you know, I mean, the thing is this: like, Mulan was just bad. It was just like objectively bad to anybody that watched it. But I didn't feel like watching it, and I had no intention of ever watching it. You know, it's like I got roped into it just because my wife was super excited because it was a big deal. Remember, it was the first movie that came out that they were charging on a separate platform. And then when it came time to where it was like, oh, now it's free to watch, she was like, oh, we gotta watch it. So she put it on. Because I had no intention of it. And the thing is, it's Disney. That's their property. They can do whatever they feel like doing with it, you know? They created the original Mulan. If they want to create a lesser version of it, live action, and put it out, that's their business. You know, I don't really care what they do. And I didn't really have any... I wasn't, forced to watch it or anything, but it was just bad overall. And I think it's probably going to be a benefit to them in the long run to kind of start putting a better foot forward, because the thing is, these movies ain't cheap to make, and when you take losses that massive, people start to pay attention. Whether you want to pay attention to it or not, everybody everywhere has a higher up, and things that are that blatantly at an underperforming, it makes people take notice. So I guess in a way, the Mulan is probably a good thing because they've been getting pretty good. Reception from the other live actions they've been making, like the Jungle Book and the Beauty and the Beast and all that. They've been kind of maybe not doing gangbusters, but they've been making profit. And because this was just so bad, maybe they're going to be like, you know what? Maybe we do have to really batten down the hatches and really.
It's kind of been on a slope, right? Jungle Book and Beauty and the Beast both did really well. They weren't the best things, like you said, but they did really well.
Well, what is the first one? The Sleeping Beauty, the what's her name? The Angelina
Maleficent.
Jolie Sleeping Beauty. Yeah, Maleficent. There you go.
But then you have Aladdin and Lion King, which didn't do bad because enough people went to the theaters to watch it to see if it was going to be good or bad, so it still made its money back. But it didn't do well at all, and a lot of people are really critical of both of those films. But then you have Mulan, which wasn't in theaters, right? Most people watched it at home because of everything going on, and it just did horrid. Right, it's like the end of this slope here. So I do hope that they're catching wind of what's going on here.
Because the thing is, usually when it's something comes out that's Disney or Pixar, I usually enjoy it because those kind of things take a lot of time and thought, especially like the animated movies to do. They usually try to make it enjoyable. It's like almost like watching a Mission Impossible. Like you don't really ever watch a bad Mission Impossible movie. They're all pretty good. They're forgettable, and when you leave the theater, you're like, what did I watch? But as you're watching it, you're very, involved in the intrigue and, who's going to double cross who? And look at the action was great. And
they're your staple
kind of thing
summer
with
blockbuster, right? You're not supposed to remember it afterwards.
So I'm like, Disney usually makes pretty decent, Mission Impossible. Like, it's good to watch, it's fun to watch. But, like, Mulan was just, it was a chore to watch.
Yeah. I still have no interest in watching it. I probably never will. And I probably won't for the same reason that I think people in China wouldn't have watched it even if they didn't think the CCP. And it's because, Mulan is actually based off of an actual older Chinese story. And while the first movie that Disney made wasn't the same story, it captured the spirit of it. So even people in China who were familiar still enjoyed it, right? And so you could enjoy something that captures the spirit of a story the same. This one just completely threw it out the window altogether.
I can see that.
Yeah. So I'm
what's the next category?
The next category.
So is there like a consensus? Do we have to vote on these things?
No, this is actually just whatever we feel because award shows are a bag of dicks. So fuck it.
Well, let's do that then. Let's kind of take everybody's their suggestion they put forward and see if we can all agree on one that was the objective best.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Okay.
Especially with
except
these
for
last
with
couple, because it would be a bit easy.
musical. I think there's kind of a consensus because you and Marsupial, after you changed the answer, picked the same one. So that's probably the closest we're going to get to that, which is the OK Boomer. But the next category is
whatever you
animated.
say, metal.
And the next one, everyone's going to agree with me on the next one.
Maybe. The next one's animated media. So it's the same type of categories above, but instead of live action, it's in animation.
Onward.
Okay.
Is that your answer?
Onward. Same answer for you?
No.
No.
Oh.
We're just gonna let you talk.
Dude, that
about
movie Onward
why you picked it.
That movie Onward kicked me in the goddamn guts. That movie was so good. It left me an emotional wreck at the end of it, especially at the very end where it comes down to actually talk to his dad and the older brother gets it, and then you kind of get the whole movie in general, and you're like, oh god, that's such a good premise. And they kind of took the best aspects of the whole sword and sorcery and D&D and put the best things in, and they were very careful about what to put in and what not to put in to make it too crazy. It just the whole package when it was finished, I was like super satisfied. That was a fantastic movie.
Okay. As far as I
That's it
know,
for me.
it's actually based on the same source material that Full Metal Alchemist was. which is an older story called The Tale of Two Brothers. So a lot of the premise was probably easy to see coming if you're familiar with it, but most people aren't. So it's a good story that people should be making stuff off of. Like, it's a good pick. Something that people are less familiar with.
What about you, Marsupial?
You want me to go next?
Yeah, go next.
Yeah.
My answer is something that I hadn't even heard of until 2020, based on a manga, and it's Uzaki-chan Wants to Hang Out. Seriously, it's it's definitely the first slice of life type animated show that I've ever actually like sat down and watched every episode. And it got me hooked. It's very Animal Crossing-esque in that it was kind of like a relaxing, funny show that it was just kind of like a what do you call it? Like a guilty pleasure kind of thing. And frankly, I started watching it more as sort of an FU to people who were complaining that her boobs were too big. But then I actually ended up liking it. I mean, it was just a funny, enjoyable show. I liked all the characters. Her relationship to what's his name, Senpai.
Yeah. I forget the senpai's name, but that's what she refers to him all the time.
Yeah. And it was funny. It was hilarious, actually. I actually laughed out loud.
Yeah.
So.
I've still yet to see a single episode, but I have read some of the manga, so I can at least agree with you. It is an entertaining series.
And I have Switchpoint on Twitter probably to thank for introducing me to it. He was posting a lot of the manga and explaining what was happening and stuff like that. And so that kind of got me interested. That's fine.
Alright. Well, I've been going first for the few ones, so I'm going to go last this time. Buck, what do you have to say for animated?
For animated series, or animated thing, I had something, but I completely forgot what it was. Give me a minute.
Okay. Well, while you think of this, I guess I'll go. Let me pull up my notes. So for animated, I actually picked something that only has a single episode for it, but I've been waiting for it for a long time because I like internet stuff, underground things, and it's a show called Blood Sun Vendetta, Chapter 1, The Blood Returns, or because it takes place in Mexico, the original is La Sangre Vuelve, and it's by Rice Pirate, or Mick Lauer. He is an animator who blew up on Newgrounds back in the day. That's where he got his start. He was part of the crew that are known as the Sleepy Cabin podcasts and stuff like that. So he's friends with Stamper and Oni and stuff, all those. And he's a big fan of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And he basically wanted to make his own version of JoJo's, and made this like full length, like I think it's 22 minutes or something. It's basically the length of a full episode without commercials. That is the first episode of his own JoJo-like show. It's not the greatest animation because it is a limited team, but it's still animated pretty well, and it's got a good story, and the visuals are great. For being something that's done by a small team, that's equivalently kind of the same as Flash animation. I highly recommend everyone check out Blood Sun Vendetta. I'll even drop a link in the chat for people. And that's my pick.
Okay, I remembered what mine was. Hell of a Boss.
Hell of a Boss. That was my runner-up. I wasn't sure if I should counter or not, for the same reason as Blood Sun Vendetta, because both of them had a pilot that came out last year. But I know the pilot for Hell of a Boss is canon. Blood Sun Vendetta, it's not. And both of them, their first episode debuted. I say last year, but we're already 21. The year before last year, both episodes debuted their first one in 2020.
Cool.
Did you want to talk further about Hell of a Boss?
Oh, yeah. I just think it's a really fun show. With the, like, I think the first official episode is kind of the low point already, but that's not saying much compared to what else I've had to try and watch this year. And it's got a lot of humor in it. It's got Richard Horvitz, who's actually been in a lot of animated stuff. Invader Zim, my favorite among them. But it's definitely not family friendly. There's a lot of foul language, allusions to sexual content. You don't see anything, but, you know, they mention it a lot, especially in episode 2. And
It's perfect for the audience of the Vomitorium.
Yeah. And it is about demons in hell who run a business of basically being hitmen to get revenge on the still living people who, quote-unquote, wronged the people who end up in hell who hired them.
Alright. Yeah, it's a good show. I've seen it. I would also recommend it to people. And I did have another runner-up, too. Just an honorable mention, and that was the animated shorts Big Top Burger, which I found myself probably watching like 16 times all the way through this year. It's a bunch of, like, it's 5 different shorts, but it's also been compiled into one, like, 20-minute long video for season 1. And it's about these, like, clowns that run a, like, a food truck. And just wacky stuff happens. I recommend people watch that, too. But that's the other honorable mention.
I have one too, actually, for this category, and that would be Transformers: War for Cybertron, which was remarkably good. Also on Netflix. I highly recommend it for Transformers fans. It's an interesting story. It's tells the story of the lead up to the Autobots leaving, basically losing the Cybertron War and leaving Cybertron for Earth. And I believe season 2 just came out, but season 1 came out last week. What was that, Buck?
I was gonna say, so it's basically the same story as the trilogy of the War for Cybertron video games.
I guess. I never played it. But
It came out on PS3, and it was basically the event leading up to when they left Cybertron. Basically like the end of the war towards when they left.
then yes, that is what it is about. And it starts out with like I mean, just one thread. I got to go back and watch it because it came out many months ago. But like it's that when it starts out, like Bumblebee isn't even with the Autobots. I don't know why do all the Transformers shows always center on Bumblebee now?
Because people like
He wasn't
Bumblebee.
even.
He's become,
Yes.
especially with the Michael Bay movie, it's just, he
Yeah.
became really popular. Everybody likes Bumblebee.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
It-
he wasn't that popular in G1, but
No, he wasn't.
yeah, it kind of, yeah. It was all about Optimus Prime.
It's
But,
because of the Michael Bay movie that Bumblebee became everybody's favorite. It's like the new generational thing.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's very good.
Plus, nobody who really does these things find the stoic, heroic leader type to be an interesting character anymore. So they don't want to center on Optimus because the few times they tried to make him something other than that, fans were very obviously upset about it.
Mm-hmm.
So they figure this way they can center on a character type that they would prefer to center about because they don't find the heroic stoic guy interesting, and just leave Optimus as that character. It's just he's not the focus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my honorable mention.
It's a good way to go as well. Like kind of like the Michelangelo Ninja Turtle thing, or even like wrestling, like with the introduction of like John Cena. You know, it's for the kids. You know, it's for the toys. It's for the kids. That's what they want to focus on. You have your heels, you have your stoic guys, but you want the guy that's going to come out and be like, "I'm cool, fucking cowabunga." You know?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like
a t-shirt.
What any of those duo games, right? Like any of them, Banjo-Kazooie. People like it, but Kazooie was the one with all the personality that you remember the things that Kazooie was doing. Jack and Daxter, everybody remembers all the things that Daxter said because he really was the voice of that.
What they tried to do with Jar Jar Binks. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All good choices. I think that's probably the category we probably had the most opinion on, actually, out of all of these so far. And we're actually to the last one, so after we're done with this, we can just shoot the shit for the rest of the show. And it is static artwork, so it can be digital or traditional, sculpture, even a banana stapled to a frog, for all I care, as long as it's just some static form of art.
What about a monolith in the middle of the desert in Utah?
That counts, if that's your favorite. That was very impactful this year. Is that where you're going with, the monolith?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I don't have any actual hard, fast opinion on this.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting.
It did. I mean, cultural impact wise, that probably was. But I mean, other than some still images of promotional stuff that caused a lot of outrage, can't really think of anything that really struck me as a favorite.
Yeah.
You know.
What about anyone else?
Okay, I guess I'll go. So my first runner-up, right now it's my favorite, is probably the cover art for Sense, a Cyberpunk Story. Although I'm not entirely sure that cover art came out in 2020. It might have been on
Story.
Cyberpunk. What did I say? Did I say Cyberpunk?
Sense, a Cyberpunk Story.
Oh, Emo Comics. Sense, a Cyberpunk ghost story. Sense, a Cyberpunk ghost story. It's hard to remember the full name. It has nothing to do with Cyberpunk. I liked it mostly because it triggered people. Very, very large boobies. But I'm not entirely sure that even came out in 2020 because I know their Kickstarter was in 2019, so it might have come out.
Because it's a cover for a game, we'll count it if the game launched this year.
All right, but that was by Benjamin Widowson, did that one. But my favorite of the year was the cover art for Age of Calamity, which is an absolutely beautiful, I don't know what you call it, collage, I guess, sort of. It reminds me of the Dennis Loubet, like Ultima Online original cover art, where it had just like all these little vignettes of like people fighting and stuff. I mean, there's sort of an area where, all the main characters are kind of grouped on one side on the left, and then on the right there's more background stuff of like guardians and things happening in the background. That was by Yu Oboshi, presumably a Japanese artist, and I really liked the the overall composition and the way it presented all the characters. So I like some of the sort of very paint, looked like a painting, basically, of the game. So that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. Buck, do you have anything before I go?
Mine is just the meme that I shared into Civ chat.
Let me look at it, I guess. Oh, okay. I guess I'll read it. We keep having encoding problems, so there's like almost no point in me sharing it on the screen. But it's what show is that from? I know that's one of the DC
Batman
shows.
Beyond.
Batman Beyond. Okay. Time Traveler. Hey, what year is this? Me, 2020. Time Traveler. Has it happened yet? Me, what? And then the time traveler says the disaster. And then the actual meme picture at the bottom from Batman Beyond is, do you have the slightest idea how little that narrows it down? If that's your choice, that's your choice. I did say that memes qualified. Mine is this really good piece of art that I saw on Newgrounds, which I visit pretty much daily. And it is called Mega Man 2 by Potterzilla. And it is this nice picture, almost completely flats, I think. I don't think there's any like dynamic shading or anything on that. And it's just this huge detailed cityscape that must have taken the artist forever, with Mega Man on top of the building like he is during Mega Man 2's opening screen, but it's showing from behind and you can overlook and see the whole city. And it's just a wonderfully done picture. I have the link to that. I can drop it in the chat for anybody who wants to see it.
Please, I would like to see that.
Yeah, I'll drop it in the YouTube chat. And it's very simple, but you could tell it took a really long time to actually lay out, because it matches what you can tell the city should look like from just playing Mega Man 2. And that's probably my favorite static artwork of the year. I went through all my favorites on different sites to see which one I liked the most, because obviously if I favorite it, it must have been something that stuck out to me. And yeah, that's it for the categories.
Have you seen the image for the next Batman? The cover image?
No, I don't think I have.
Let me go pull that up real quick, because that one kind of did something like this, but I think just like evoking emotion, we kind of did it a little bit better even. Let's see.
Maybe. This one probably evoked a lot of emotion on me because that is the Mega Man game that I played a lot too. I owned a copy of Mega Man 2 growing up, so of all the Mega Man games, this is the one I played the most. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I imagined the city to look like.
Alright, check this out. How do I share on Discord?
You can drop it in general Civ chat, or restream actually if you want everybody in the audience to see it too. Like Marsupial did, because that'll just drop a link straight into all the other chats if you put it in the restream chat.
Yeah, I'll put it in Civs because that's where I'm at right now.
Okay.
Is it the buckler?
No, it's not the buckler, but it has Batman, kind of not like an incredibly dynamic action, but he's just leaping off some sort of a structure up high in the sky, and you can see like down underneath all of like the city of Gotham. But it's almost like a video game, because it has like these PlayStation, the pause button to play, a square, a circle kind of deal, little drone flying underneath. It looks so like imposing, and like, I don't know, just because of the way they have the the atmospheric disturbance on it and all that stuff.
Yeah, the ambiance is really good.
You know, and looking at it, you want to, because he's in the foreground and he's all silhouetted almost. You just see a little bit of the light coming from underneath, and you're like, and you kind of think like, where's his hands? But the thing is, the city is so beautiful. You just stop. You stop looking at him, and you go through the entire city again, and you come back to him, and you go through it again because you want to look at more and more. I don't know. I think it came out really good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good picture.
Can I put that in the chat? Let me see.
It's a very good picture. Especially just,
hopefully.
having Batman right there and having such a dark outfit, being a silhouette. All this, like, kind of, I wouldn't say grainy, but blurry ambiance just makes that darkness pop more in the front. Yeah.
And they almost ruined it, like with the graphic design of the the
All
actual
that-
logo and the part,
pinkish
the
around
future
it.
state series that it's a part of.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's still it shines through.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
put a link in the chat.
that's our best of. I've been hyping
Hey,
up.
did
There
what?
was other people that said they were going to show up and they just never did. So I guess they miss out. Thought this was going to take longer.
Pitaya.
Yeah. So we could just shoot the shit as we normally do on the program for now.
Right.
Yeah.
Or
actually,
or
speaking
change
of-
our choices.
Yeah.
Or...
I'm going to hand this off to my co-host because I have to pee. I'll be back.
Very good.
No. Well, thanks, Metal. I'll do a good job. All right.
So, John,
What up?
read any good comic books recently backed on or recently closed out on Indiegogo lately?
Have I read any good ones? No. Now I'm actually writing I'm writing the script today for the Temple of Polar Twilight, because once I pass that 10,000 mark, now I have to actually fulfill that book. So I gotta do it. So
was that a stretch goal?
yes. So I gotta write that. It seems like it's on a good track. Like it's ready to get the. I just gotta, because I figure out the story as I'm writing it. I kind of like. Here's the thing. I see where I want it to end up. Like I have the ending scene in my head, but I don't know how to get there just yet. I have to kind of write the story and then rewrite it again. Because I got to do it. I gotta get this whole story wrapped up in 28 pages. So,
Did you actually put that on your campaign?
yeah,
Oh, I didn't even see it.
yeah. It's I updated that about halfway through the campaign.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, at the very bottom it talks about it. But that's what I've been kind of chewing on. I got to go burn some more trash a little bit later. But I don't know. I've just been
Burn some more trash.
over scenarios in my head about how I can bring the characters to the point where I want them at the very end.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to do that quick, because I got to get to drawing quick.
Oh, yeah. I'm assuming you
So
guys
what
are talking about
you-
the buckler now.
Yeah.
The Temple of Polar Twilight.
So do you think your next one's going to make you even more?
It's a good question.
They tend to. I mean, once you've proven yourself, you tend to get back the people that ordered the first one, plus more people hear about you,
Yeah.
typically. But,
I think that yes. I think that it would. The thing is, I don't think that it will drastically. You know what I mean?
Okay. Right.
So I think it'll be small gains.
Yeah, more like an incremental improvement.
Yes.
I mean, I think it's possibly. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to say it could be double. It could double.
Oh, I think it could. I think it could be double. But even if it is double, I don't know. I just don't know if that would do it. Because the thing is, these things take a long time to make.
Well, that was my
making
next question. How often can you make one?
Like realistically, I could probably do one a year unless something changes dramatically. For instance, if I were to, I'll say on the next campaign, do something in the neighborhood of 30 to 35, then I could realistically say, okay, I can devote my workday, my time to doing the book. Then I could separate that into two and do maybe 2 plus something else, like a supplemental each year. Because in order to replace the money that I make, I need to get at least 2 books that clear 35 out in a year.
Yeah.
If that can't happen or won't happen, then I can't necessarily go any faster than that. And I think if I don't go any faster than that, I'm not going to get those bigger numbers. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I
I don't
think
know.
you do have a little wiggle room, because I think most of the people that complain about how little people do in a year are putting out anywhere between a normal floppy to a giant size, so they're under sub 30 pages, and those people should be putting out anywhere between like 3 to 4 depending on the size of each one. But you're doing like a full blown graphic novel, so you could probably get away with like between 1 to 2 a year without people like criticizing you and how little you're doing.
Right.
I mean,
I think
this
it's
is
like, yeah,
with
like I was
the
saying,
Polar
these things
Twilight,
take
that's
a
what,
long
78 pages total.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now again, the Temple of Polar Twilight's it's gonna I don't know how to do it to make it look like I'm not copping out, but I think I like that style of artwork,
Oh, I do too.
you know. And people are gonna look at it and they'll be like, well, this isn't like you didn't put as much effort into this as you did the other one. Story wise, I did. Like story wise, I put in the same amount of effort, but yeah, this artwork's gonna be a little bit quicker to do. Just because it has that really blocky Bruce Timm style, no hatching. Everything's just going to be, 3-color cell shaded.
Yeah.
I'm still going to try to make it look dope. You know what I mean? I'm still going to try to make them, give it some feeling of ominence and stuff like that. Because I'm really playing around in my head with how I'm going to get these cave systems and these ice caves, all these little nooks and crannies, because I really, well, you know this, because I've kind of been worried about this for a while. Like, how do I get people to feel immersed in this atmosphere, in this area that I'm presenting,
Yeah.
And a lot of that just has to do with putting in the work of doing the backgrounds, very, having the map in your head of, and then actually putting that, and be careful and don't mess around with your characters. Continuity. When you're putting somebody and he's making a right turn, when you put the next scene, don't just forget everything you had planned.
Yeah. He either needs to still be going right, or you need to flip perspective. So if he's going left, it's because he's going right, and you're looking from the other angle.
Right, and that's something that's going to be a little bit, I think, easier to do in a natural setting like that.
Yeah.
Rather than like alleyways and corridors and hallways and rooms.
Well, you know what might help? I know it seems like a little nitpicky and a bit of work, but I would just do like a rough map of the cave system, just something by hand.
Well, I've already have one drawn out. It's an overview. It's like an overview if you're looking down from the top of like this mountain temple area, and all the pathways that you can take to get up there. That have been created.
Excellent.
So I have a little rough sketch of that, but I'm kind of using that as a template to, okay, the Buckler's starting here, Harrington and his crew's here, that kind of deal.
Yeah, it's a good way to keep track of where they're going. And you know which turns they have to, if they're going to run into each other, like, oh, here's the perfect panel for me to do that, because it's where they all are.
Yeah. So that's what I'm working. That's what, and I got to not only figure that out probably by the end of today, but actually start working on page 2 today as well.
Yeah. And you gotta cycle, because you want them to be immersed, but you still want them to feel like they both know what's going on, but they don't know what's going to happen next. So you gotta cycle in between like close-ups and really like hyperbolic long shots through these like twisting caverns.
So, and then I gotta, not only do that, but I gotta start getting these Buckler pages colored.
Yeah.
Which is another issue. I hit up Kat to see if she was gonna be willing to color the Temple of Polar Twilight, and she was like, "Oh, no, realistically, I can only do like 1 page a week." And I was like, "Damn, it's like half a year."
Yeah. Especially for such a simple style too. But like, if you're busy, you're busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're busy, you're busy, and nothing you can do about that. And
all
this, with her job, the nature of her job, and more people not wanting to go out, she's obviously gotten more busy, which is great for her, more money.
Well, have you asked Pope Raven?
I have not. Oh,
Would
He
you?
probably knocked
that
it
might be
fast.
something. That might be something. Yeah, I might ask Pope Raven.
Yeah, you might be looking for work, and you
Good
wouldn't.
colorist.
You wouldn't destroy his his work like some
Oh
other.
no! Whatever he puts, that's the final thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
It would definitely be a step up in employment.
You wouldn't put a whole bunch of birds over it or anything.
I mean, if it calls for birds, it calls for birds, Marsupial. What am I gonna do? Not put birds?
Well, no, you just save that for the definitive edition later on.
That's right. The Super Bird Edition. I was gonna ask
How long are you guys gonna be on? Another hour?
Mm-hmm.
We're on until 9.
Yeah.
Or
7 your time.
7 your time, yeah.
Okay. All right, I'll be back then. I'm out of cigarettes. I gotta go to the store. I'll be
Okay.
right
Well,
back.
I was gonna ask John if you wanted me to send you some reference
Cigarettes?
art.
Yes. What?
No, some reference art of Vestry for your other book.
I'll be back. Damn it.
I'll send it.
Oh, speaking of, I was supposed to send Rick a reference, but I've been busy, so I'm going to have to apologize to him now while it's on my mind.
Who's Bruce Timm? Do you know who Bruce Timm is?
Yeah, do you not? Bruce
no
Timm
idea.
was the guy who was the showrunner for Batman the Animated Series. And then also Superman after that and the Justice League. That's kind of like that style of art.
Oh, okay.
People even retroactively call anything regarding to those the Timverse.
Yeah. T-Bird and Throttle also uses that same type of art style inspired off of Bruce Timm, which is a good book. If people are looking for a nice cartoony-looking but dynamic superhero adventure, T-Bird and Throttle is a good one to pick up. Indie comic.
You know, I backed T-Bird and Throttle, and I don't think I ever got it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's you should probably contact them because I believe
Should.
everybody else has been fulfilled. It might have just been like a mailing error or something.
Yeah. I also never got Sporkman Goes to Japan. Has that shipped?
I actually don't know if that has or not. I never backed it. I wanted to. I just didn't have the money at the time. I did support it in ways though, because I was on a live stream with several people, and we were doing like draw-alongs just for Sporkman. It's actually number one Marmaduke fan. It's one of my favorite YouTubers. I highly recommend everybody subscribe to number one Marmaduke fan. He is a hoot. Very peculiar person who puts up all kinds of just weird content, and he's also working on a comic of his own called Jane the Wannabe Gladiator, or Jane Smith the Wannabe Gladiator. But so he used to do these things for people who were promoting their shows and everything, where or not their shows, their comics, their campaigns, where you'd come in and a bunch of people would compete in a very quick drawing contests that got shorter and shorter and shorter, drawing the main character from the comic. So Sporkman was one of them. I was also on for the Expositioner from Ideal Comics. And basically you start with like a 5-minute drawing. So you have everybody has 5 minutes to draw the character. Then it goes down to like a 2-minute drawing, then a 1 minute, then a 30-second, then a 15-second, and finally a 5-second drawing. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's really fun. Everybody, engages in it. You're trying to see what you can get done in that time. Surprisingly, I was doing better the shorter the time frame is, because I started gaming it, and I'm thinking like, okay, what kind of strokes do I have to make to where this is still clearly definably this character in the time that I have? So like the shorter it got, the more I just took like a brush pen or whatever, and I started doing like a graffiti style of things. Like somebody would actually just spray paint on the side of a building real quick. And Sporkman was me getting my my feet wet with it. Expositioner, I think I easily won all those rounds because I went in with a game plan for each time frame. But then for like the next 2 hours or whatever, everybody draws a picture at their own pace for fun that he could cycle between. And it was kind of just a promotion stream. Those things were fun. It was almost like a telethon almost, right? Everybody's just there while they're trying to get money into the campaigns. I'd love to do stuff like that again. Maybe I'll have to start hosting
Yeah.
things like that eventually, because Marb stopped, but it's a really fun thing to do.
Well, I actually, speaking of hosting things, I actually got a new friend at work. I happened to strike up a conversation with about role-playing games,
Oh, hey.
and he's going to probably watch us on Saturday. I told him I gave him Rick's channel. I didn't want to give him mine, so I sent him Rick's channel and told him what it was on, and he said that his wife would love to play. I said I'd run it by you if she really was interested in joining our campaign. If
The
that would
problem
even be
is
possible.
that our party is a little too full to take in new people at this time. If somebody drops out and we need another player, I honestly don't mind who comes in, right?
Yeah.
But like I said, I had originally balanced this campaign for like 4 to 6 people, and our top end party is at 6 people when everybody shows up. We could fit somebody else in there, but things are going to get unbalanced. I'm going to have to start squeezing more monsters. I won't be able to do the math to make sure that it's balanced, so there might be too little monsters sometimes, there might be too many. So, yeah.
Well,
I have no problem with other people coming in, it's just party's at its limits at the moment.
yeah. If anyone drops out, like if Timothy decides he just can't make it anymore, for instance.
Yeah, because work
Not
is
that I
too
would-
crazy or something.
Yeah. Just as as a random example,
Yeah.
since he's had a little bit of trouble getting to it, but anyway, we might have, and she might not be interested actually. I mean, he said she might be, but
Yeah.
we might have an alternate.
Well, like I said, I've been spending a lot of time just building up this campaign, and it does take up a lot of my time to do that. But
Yeah.
I also wouldn't mind maybe every other week or something like that, or even just another day of the week that we're not already doing something, running alternate campaigns, like one-shot type things. Like I'll just build a dungeon. People could have their character for that dungeon, and we could just go through it until it's done. We can have different parties and stuff going on. That's just the party for that big long-term campaign that I built.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll tell you what, Shadow of the Demon Lord is made for short, one-shot kind of things.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's what you want to do. And I can certainly look into doing that, and probably just using one of their built-in campaigns, just to practice being a DM myself.
Yeah, if you want to, I have no problem. You can host that anywhere. I'd have, assuming I get this encoding problem, I don't know what the issue is. Maybe it's because I haven't updated OBS in a while, but if it's been stable before, not updating shouldn't cause a problem. If anything, updating is usually what causes the problem, because you end up on an unstable build that needs to be fixed later.
Yeah.
I have just as much memory in my computer. Everything is still being ran exactly as is.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Until I figure out what the problem is in the meantime, which I can't fix this during the stream, I can bump the settings down to 720 instead of 1080. That should cause some of it. It shouldn't be overloading. But it hasn't been. Like, this is just some weird out-of-the-blue thing.
Yeah, very strange. Are you using regular OBS or slobs?
I'm using regular OVS. And it's been fine. I haven't really added anything. I have the same amount of, sources and scenes and stuff as I did before.
Did you update it to version 26.1?
I have not updated it since, November. But it's been a stable build. That's why I'm wondering what the problem is,
Yeah.
Unless, I don't know, maybe the old version has some type of component with Flash, and now that Flash is dead, that's what's causing the problem. Right? And I just need to update it to where it takes out the component that has anything to do with Flash. I don't know. I would assume that they've been running purely on HTML5 for encoding since, last year when people knew that Flash was going away. I don't know why you wouldn't have already updated.
Yeah, but I know that there is a recent update to 26.1. I don't know how recent. If you updated it in November, you might have it already. I don't.
Yeah.
But it's been relatively stable for me. Anyway.
Yeah, well, it's been stable up until last time. Because on New Year's, I think that was a restream problem because I wasn't getting any errors on my end. I didn't get that little bar at the bottom that said encoding overload. I think that was just restream was overloaded because it was New Year and everybody was on. But I did start getting a problem when Timothy was on during the Hypogeum. I was getting encoding overload. So I don't know what is up with that.
Oh,
I'll
look at
update
that.
it after this. I'll troubleshoot, but just in case, I'll just lower the output, and that should solve some of the problems, at least temporarily. 720 is not bad. It's still HD.
Well, they just released 26.1.1.
Yeah, I got
4
a
hours
notification
ago.
before I started, and I'm like, no, we're about to start. I don't want to update this.
Yeah, right. That's interesting. But yeah, it came out 4 hours ago. So yeah, the one before that did come out only 23 days ago.
Yeah, and I skipped that one because I don't know why. I just kept hitting remind me later, and I just never bothered to install it.
Yeah. Ulrich says, if Cross forgets what a tunberry is, maybe you will have enough room.
Well,
Is that a
here's
mob?
the thing. The Tonberry might... If people forget and they fight it too early, that might just be a total party kill. Because it depends if they can actually escape it or not. So the way fleeing works, your thief has an advantage to fleeing because he's a thief and he invested in escape skill. I have to re-look to see if the escape skill has anything to do with fleeing. But basically when you flee, it's a... it's evasion versus speed, I think, or something like that. But you have to do the check against every single enemy in the other party.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you're rolling, but so is every enemy, and you have to see if that beats all of them. And a Tonberry usually only shows up in a party of one, so it's not that hard to beat it odds-wise, but it's still hard to run from a Tonberry, so it's all a roll of the die there.
Yeah, they have a cleaver attack, which does high damage and ignores defense. Apparently.
Yeah. It's considered melting, which is the status.
They're in the
of
Final
defense.
Fantasy. They're in the Final Fantasy VII remake.
Yeah. Well, they've been in every Final Fantasy except for... I don't think they popped up in 12. They might have under a different name because there's a lot of things under a different name. But they've been in there since 5. They became a recurring enemy. You see them somewhere, sometimes only in bonus sections. But they've been in the game since 5. Cloud had to deal with them in the original Final Fantasy VII. So I assume they would be in the remake. I'm surprised they're in the remake because of how early it is, though. But I do remember that there are, flashbacks to the desert and stuff like that, and I think that's where they show up.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, they wouldn't be that early in the game, the original 7.
It says in Final Fantasy XII, the Tonberry is a code name for the pilot of an air-to-ground offensive
Oh, okay.
machine.
That's where the reference is. Got it.
Thought in the prologue. Although it is a mob in Final Fantasy XII Revenant Wings.
Yep. Revenant Wings is a fun game. That one you could probably emulate without any problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is a DS game.
Oh.
Which I feel like the advertisements lied to me. Either that or the internet was so good at making it feel like this was the actual advertisement that everybody was in disbelief. But when Zodiac Age was originally being announced, there was word going around that it was going to have Revenant Wings included in it. And I was like, well, how's that going to happen? It's a completely different game type. Would it just be like an emulated version in the game? And then it turned out that was just a bunk rumor. But I'm like, man, that would have been great.
Yeah. Well, it's a shame that it's a DS game. It means I can't play it on Citra.
Well, you can't natively play it on Citra. You could check to see if there is a converted version, because there are some Game Boy Advance and DS games that people have made into Citra versions. But if there's not, then yeah, you have to go and use like Desume or something like that. Because it won't, for some reason, play DS ROMs despite the fact that the 3DS can play DS games.
Yeah.
He was asking what music with that. It's been a Wily, which is an OC remix from Mega Man. That was the song that was just playing.
You know, I don't know why I keep forgetting this, but I have, what's it called, Desmume?
Yeah.
I have that working, so I can play DS games. And you know, I know you said it wasn't very well optimized, but I think on my computer it seemed to work fine.
Yeah, so I've occasionally had frame skipping, but it's not a big problem, and it depends on the game, right? I was running Wild World while I was recording it way back. I did like 12 episodes, and then I never recorded again because of time constraints, and it's Animal Crossing. It's not like you can finish that game anyway. But I did like 12 episodes of Wild World, and there was no problem. The audio sounded fine and stuff. I've played Phoenix Wright, and the frame rate is fine because Phoenix Wright is a very low capacity game. It's not like it needs much. The music sounds horrible though, because it's like it's like slowed down and skipping. And I've tried changing the pace and optimization. It's just the nature of that emulator. Like some games work flawlessly, some games are just eh. And it doesn't matter how much you optimize some of the games, it's the emulator itself that's not optimized for that game type. Because I've tried several different ROMs, people have tried tweaking it, I've been in the forums for it, it's just like, some games good, some games not. Take, roll with it. Unless you're playing it on Mac. Which it seems all of these problems disappear on the Mac OS version of that, because that was the version that emulator was originally made for, and that the support continued for. They kind of just dropped the Windows version. I wish some community would pick it up and make like a new version of it and continue support, but you get what you get.
Yeah, I've only tried Dragon Quest 5 and 6 on that emulator, and those two work fine.
Yeah. Hey, Diller's back.
Yo.
You get your smokes?
I'm back at the drawing table. What happened?
Cool. Orc says, Marsupial, I would suggest running if you come across a very cute plushie with a knife and a lantern.
Yeah.
Does anybody have Pope Raven's DM?
No. Is Pope Raven even still
anybody know what Pope Raven? Yeah, does anybody know what his Twitter is?
Wait.
I'm trying to remember, because I think at one point it was like Pope Raven 1, but I don't know if that's still the case anymore, because I think he changed his handle. Oh, is it still? Okay.
Pope Raven 1, and I'm in his DMs. I can slide up in his DMs.
Can I send you a picture to send him? And be can you? Yeah.
Why can't you?
I'm not in his DMs.
Oh, okay.
Does he have open DMs?
I think so.
Oh.
Oh.
He did.
He disappeared.
There you go. What'd you do?
Click the wrong button.
Yeah, I clicked the wrong button. What is his Twitter handle?
Pope Raven 1.
Yeah, I'm highly surprised. Well, I know you haven't been in the Cult of Raven Twitter for a long time, but Dillard and I are still in there. And there was even some talking because Mo Amiibo was talking, and I think Dillard and I were too. Usually, whenever Amiibo talks, that's when Pope Raven pops in, but he hasn't been in the Twitter in months now, so I don't know. Hardly anybody ever talks at this point. It's usually just me, Dillard, or Amoeba because Amoeba says something.
Yeah. Well, and he's been showing up on like John's channel occasionally.
Yeah, occasionally.
So he's still alive. I don't know where the hell Pope Fire is. She's gone.
I don't know. Maybe she got quiet because of the legal things that I don't want to get into here on the Vomitorium.
Yeah, I think so. Well, I think if John's listening, he should mention that I was the one that suggested Pope Raven. I want to stay in Pope Raven's good graces. He can be.
If I'm listening, I should include that. That way, he's more likely to say yes.
I don't.
No,
Sure.
he just wants
Yeah.
the credit.
No, I just want credit.
Absolutely not.
He can,
I mean,
he
saying
can
that Marsupial recommended might actually give you less of a chance that Pope Raven will do it.
maybe.
He used to just always
so
just...
Marsupial suggested this? Denied.
Yeah. Wait, so back in the Cult of Raven chat, anytime Marsupial would post anything, Pope Raven would just give him a downvote emoji, no matter what, ever since they added the a reaction stuff.
Yeah, or call me creepy.
Yeah, but I think everybody did that.
Well, he started it. Yeah, everybody started doing it because he started it.
Who started calling you creepy or Stevie?
Pope Raven.
Is that true?
Yes, he was the first one. That started it. I don't remember if he started doing it on Discord first or Twitter, but he started doing it on my public posts on Twitter.
Oh, man, dude, Pope Raven is such a wild card. He's entertaining.
All right, what do you think about this, making it blue?
Oh, yeah, let me pull that up.
I like that. Yeah, it gives you a definite contrast.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, good.
I often do that with my titles too. It's you just have your base version, and then you go into the hue selector and slide that slider down until it matches what you want it to be.
Cool. Yeah, tell him I suggested him, and I suggested that you pay him a lot. And stop calling me creepy. Just kidding. He doesn't do that anymore.
Word.
That looks like, for some reason, that looks like a Kingdom Hearts logo.
Oh, the candy appled one?
Yeah. Don't know why.
Yeah, I could see that being you know how every world kind of has its own logo, and it just looks like the logo to the actual movie wrapped around some type of platforming world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what else is going on?
I don't know, because I thought this was going to take longer. I didn't even bother to look into news and stuff. And there is a big thing going on, but I'd rather not talk about it.
No, we're not talking about that. And of course, we were referring to what was it? Bounding into Comics. Recent story about how is January Jones? Is that her name?
I actually don't know what you're talking about.
Was she the one who played Emma Frost in X-Men First Class?
Oh, I don't know the name. I know who you're talking about, because I saw First Class. I don't know that actress's name. It maybe. Actually, Buck, you and I, we saw First Class with your family, right?
Yes, January Jones.
Yeah, you watched it with us.
Yeah, that was a while back. Well, how old is that movie now? Is it almost a decade?
Pretty close, I think. It was a long time ago.
Oh, come on, a decade's not a long time.
Let me see. less than a decade, 2011.
Yeah, it's almost a decade.
Well,
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, well, a decade. So it was funny because this morning, Bounty into Comics posted a story about how January Jones tweeted about her birthday and included pictures of herself in a dress.
Oh, okay.
And I responded, I was like, yo, John, what, is it a slow news day or something? Like, what? John Trent, oh my God. That was before anything else happened today, because I was like, what
The chat
what
is
are you
super
doing?
slow for us. Oh, I
It's
guess.
just kind of hilarious at Bounding into Comics.
I feel like that's one of those things that the appropriate response is just the get in, loser. We're gonna go find who asked.
Yeah.
Referring to what?
The article.
Just that article.
Oh.
Like, oh, it's her birthday and she posted a picture of herself in a dress. Like, who cares?
The question is, did she look fine in the dress?
She did.
All right. I don't
Would you
know
like
what
to
the
guess
rate's gonna
how?
be.
Well, I mean, the question is, like, everybody posts pictures on their birthday. Why is it big news to all of you guys?
Yeah.
Right,
I don't
exactly.
know. Yeah.
It wasn't.
I mean, I don't blame her for posting a picture of herself on her birthday.
Everyone does it, except for maybe me.
Especially Marsupial, every damn year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, yeah, the same yellow dress.
I usually post pictures of myself in my birthday suit.
Ew.
Ew. Elric, I think there's a bit of a lag. Is all Elric was saying.
Oh,
Sorry
yeah.
about
Well, I think it's because of the encoding overload. Like, the video is still being recorded, so I think at some point the other services just decided, well, we'll just let it buffer and it'll catch up on its own.
So it turns out January Jones is my age.
Oh, okay.
She just turned 43.
Oh, you did not age well, Marsupial.
Either that or she aged really well.
You know, you're not even looking at a picture of her. How do you know?
I saw it earlier.
Oh, you did? Well, anyway. I need to stop eating chips. That's probably aging me. So that was going to be like the big story of the day.
Really? That was going to be the big story of the day?
No. No, it wasn't. But I just thought it was funny. The Bounding in the Comics posted that, and I was like, what? How is this a story? I guess he was just bored.
Well, it's
So
a
guess what's
problem
coming
when
out tomorrow?
your entire livelihood relies on filling out news stories. If a day is slow in your whatever bracket of news, you kind of have to find whatever little thing you can to fill the time, and that's why the whole mainstream media's news sucks, because they have a 24-hour news cycle and they have to constantly find any petty thing they can throw in there.
Yeah. And poor Trent gets all of his, or John gets all of his stories from Twitter, so
Yeah.
guess that's all that was out there. So guess what comes out tomorrow? Something I currently can't watch unless I can get a free subscription to Disney Plus.
Trying to think.
Can we just tell you?
Yeah, because I don't really follow Disney stuff
Is it
anymore.
WandaVision?
It's WandaVision.
Oh, I mean, the premise is interesting, I guess.
Do you know? Does anyone know if anybody? Sorry. Does anybody know if Disney Plus offers a 30-day or like a month-long free trial?
Don't know. A lot of these free trials have gone down to like a fortnight. Like most things only give like a 14-day at best, 2 weeks.
I had a 30-day HBO Max free trial.
It's cool that they're still sticking to a month. But yeah, no, I don't know. Personally, I don't care because I don't want to support Disney Plus anyway. So if I did want to watch it, I would probably be sailing the high seas. Yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah, but it is an interesting premise. I'm probably not going to watch it. But it's cool that from what I've seen, they're kind of like in this limbo.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't really get too many shows like that. And it's almost like a Pleasantville spoof, but then it's dealing with all the other actual MCU-related connections and stuff. And there's like flashbacks
I'm wondering
and stuff.
I'm wondering if it's going to lead into some sort of House of M sort of scenario, where
It's plausible.
She changes the entire universe, basically.
Oh no, we're getting multiples.
Multiple what's?
We're getting multiples of these wannabe famous guys. And Restream Chat is messing up on me, so I can't even block them from the other things.
Oh. I could block them from Twitch, but I can't delete mod chats on YouTube. Only the owner
Yeah, because
can.
it's Restream. No, it's fine. They don't need to be deleted. I just want to block them from coming back in, since that's like the only purpose that they exist for.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Well, there. I banned them on Twitch.
I know it's almost RNG, like they scroll for things to post on. What are the odds that we'd get two different of the same bot at the same time?
Yeah, there must be thousands of them. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, I might see if I can find a way to watch WandaVision tomorrow. Somehow.
It comes out tomorrow, or at midnight tonight.
I guess. I mean, it just said January 7th.
What midnight they pick. Because usually I would think, Dillard, your time, Pacific, is when I would think that things launch. But sometimes, like, say, Netflix, it'll be at 1 o'clock my time, which would be midnight for, like, Mountain. You're like, why Mountain time? That's the most arbitrary time in the nation to pick for midnight releases.
Let's see. I don't know. I mean, honestly, if Disney Plus doesn't give you a free trial, I'll probably just sign up for it. $7 a month, I could do that. No, wait a minute. It says new episodes of WandaVision will hit Disney Plus on Fridays at 12 a.m. Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern. But I thought it was supposed to come out tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday.
Hello.
Well, I don't know what to tell you.
Maybe they're gonna do that because they've done it before. They release an episode on Thursday, and the next day they release another one.
Oh, you know what? I'm wrong. It's not the 7th. Why did I think it was the 7th? The first episode is January 15th. So it's next week on Friday.
You suck.
Wow.
Yeah, good reporting, Marsupial.
Oh. Something's coming out tomorrow. I'll have to find out what.
Did I miss the annual awards?
Yeah, we actually finished all the categories.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, we thought it was going to take longer, but, you know, not enough people showed up, so each category kind of went by.
Yeah, that's wild. I missed it.
Yeah.
Oh well. Well, I'll take it easy.
Well, that was something.
Did he really leave? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, he did. Crazy.
He's probably checking in if it was still going because he's gonna hop straight into Phasmophobia or something. Because I think Wednesdays are his Phasmophobia nights.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I think he
Well, I could've
timed it.
sworn-
to skip the whole thing, and he just wanted to make it seem like he was coming in to participate.
Possibly. He just seemed kind of half-assing it there. I missed the thing that I
What a
probably wasn't
shame.
ready for. Oh, shucks. Well,
Yeah.
bye.
Everybody Shane Pataya. Guy who said for like, when did I first announce this? On December 2nd, actually, I think. I first announced this, and he every single time brought up, he's like, yeah, I'll be there, I'll have stuff. Doesn't show up. I see how it is.
Well, do y'all want to talk about Karate Kid?
Like the Cobra Kai stuff? Have you seen more of it?
I mean, yeah, sorry.
Because we did already talk about
season.
Cobra Kai, and I think most people gave their opinions, but if you've got something more to say, we can.
I watched the whole season. I finished the whole
So you're
season.
done.
Yeah, I did finish Sweet Home, by the way, before I started on that.
Okay, good. Did you have any altered opinions from finishing it, or is it still about the same?
I was surprised that like almost everyone dies, or like I don't know, half the cast dies. It seemed like at the end. Is there going to be another season?
I don't know. There's plenty of story for them to still tell, especially if you have read their webcomic, but the thing is, like a webtoon, because a lot of these people, they post all the time, like at least weekly. There's a new one. I don't know if that's like a bi-weekly webcomic or not, but there's enough panels that they could wait and let it get ahead, and every year there could be another season for them to prepare, as long as they don't compress it too much. So, like, it's actually a pretty good thing to pull stories from because of that.
Yeah.
But it was popular, so it might be another season.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else could happen next because they all left the green home.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's happening next. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was very. I thought it was kind of hokey. You know, I mean, the monsters were kind of weird, and the whole talk of monsterization was kind of bizarre. I don't know. It just seemed very hokey.
Yeah, it's definitely got that kind of like East Asian vibe to it. Like it feels like authentic to the area.
Yeah, it's kind of like a B movie kind of vibe.
Yeah, but I really enjoyed it because of that. And I hate things that take themselves way too seriously.
Yeah. It's funny because like there were all these. I can only think of one off the top of my head, which is why I thought of it. There are all these like Korean things that they mention where I'm like, I don't know what the hell they're talking about, but I'm guessing it means something in Korea. Like it just didn't make sense to me because I'm not obviously familiar with Korean culture. But one of the things that I remember was they were talking about picking something for your first birthday.
Oh, like, yeah, that's actually very common throughout all of East Asia.
Okay.
Yeah.
They put in front of a 1-year-old baby a pencil, money, and what was the other one?
String, which is for fate.
String.
Yeah.
Right.
The whole choice is supposed to be like a fate thing. Like the child choosing kind of like reveals what their fate's going to be.
Yeah. The pencil means intelligence. Money means wealth, and the string means what? Long life or something?
Yeah, like a long, healthy life, or live.
Yeah. So.
And sometimes, one of the guys pointed out, the baby doesn't grab anything that was put in front of it and ends up grabbing something else, and people have to what does this mean? What kind of omen is this? And he grabbed like a butter knife or something like that, and ended up being a really skilled swordsman.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? They use chopstick.
Not everywhere.
It's a joke metal. God damn.
Not everywhere.
So anyway, yeah, there were little things like that where I'm like, what? Interesting.
Yeah. Probably just being somebody who's familiar with a lot of different cultures, it was easier for me to pick up on everything right away.
Yeah.
But I could see how somebody who's not so familiar would maybe not even struggle, but just be confused with some of the concepts.
I mean, that one at least they explained.
Yeah.
So totally understood. But like other things, like just expressions that they use, where I'm like, what? I don't know what that means.
And you're not even sure if you're missing out on something or not.
Yeah, did I miss something, or is that just some sort of Korean thing that they say? I just don't know. So this is a little bit confusing, but I mean, that didn't happen too often. It didn't happen so often that it made like the whole show unwatchable. But it just struck me because it would happen like once every other episode or so.
Well, one of the things I like about it too is that they kind of left things the way they were. They just translated as best as possible. They didn't try to.
I like that.
And we talked about this when we were talking about the show initially. They didn't try to culturally translate things and kind of like replace it with like, oh well, American would understand this much better, or something like that. They just kind of left it the way it was and used language to describe it as best as possible.
Yeah, so that's when Jamie Markey would come in and say, "Oh, they didn't do a very good job because they didn't translate the cultural."
Yeah, well, she can get her panties in a wad all she wants. That's not the way to do it.
Yeah. Anyway,
Actually, here's something I'd rather talk about because you've seen some of it now, and I've watched this show a long time ago, and I finally got some other people to watch it, and even I think Dillard caught a whole episode, and it is the dub of the anime Ghost Stories, the English show, which is a great show, and I'll explain it for the audience real quick in case they've never heard of it. Ghost Stories was this super serious. I do believe it started as a manga and then was an anime. It was really, really serious, but it was a flop because of that. It was about these kids that were hunting ghosts in this old abandoned school next to the new school. And the main character's mother was a ghost hunter previously that had sealed all these ghosts into the mountainside, but due to construction on it, all of their seals have been broken, and now these kids have to deal with it. Especially because most of the ghosts want revenge on the daughter of the person who sealed them away. And because the show flopped, Aniplex, which is part of the Anime Network, I don't even know if that's still around, but it was done under Aniplex, did a dub of it that's basically a joke. It's kind of like an abridged series. I think this was done back in 2008. And it's an abridged series that wasn't abridged. It's this full-length show where everything was redubbed into like really over-the-top stupid humor. And it was much more successful than the original show was.
Yeah, and it's even like fourth wall breaking kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, occasionally talking about the bad animation, stuff like that.
Or matching lip flaps and everything. Or I don't even know what I'm saying. What's up with these lip flaps?
Yeah. They'd be like, "Why are my legs working? We're running, but we're staying in place."
Yeah. Or they'll have things like talking about what they're doing in the episode. That has nothing to do with the plot of this episode.
Yeah. Or they had a bit where they talked about Vic Mignogna a bit.
Yeah. Now that I don't think that was so bad though. But this was also during the time where people were still on better terms with everybody, because one of the main voice actors also ripped into himself in like the first or second episode. And the things they said about Vic were like so empty that you could literally have said it about anybody. He was just the subject of your ire at the moment. But it does show how like resentment towards him goes that far back.
Yeah. It wasn't particularly bitter sounding. It was funny.
It's like random hokey stuff you could have said about anybody in that place. Like, and then he disappeared with bikers and was never seen again.
Yeah. Funny. But
I actually,
Yeah,
I couldn't watch it. I had to turn it off. It was too much. I was
too
like,
much
this
for you?
is just, it was too much nonsense and not enough quality behind the nonsense.
Yeah, well, that was kind of the point of the show. So, because the original show is ridiculous.
It's kind of like remember that the other day when I was talking about the little Juggernaut dub.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can handle that stuff for like at a max 5 minutes. When it goes on too long, I'm like, come on, you devoted that much time to it.
Like you could probably handle a single episode of Dragon Ball Z Abridged per sitting, because those are on average about 5 minutes.
I have to go to the bathroom real quick, so I'll be right back.
Yeah, but what was I getting at? Yeah, kind of the whole point of the show is because the original was really bad, the original dub, and it was ridiculous, but not in a good way. It was ridiculous, like the actual plot and the premise that everything that was supposed to be happening, and nobody could take it seriously, and it was trying to take itself seriously, which is kind of the point to this dub of the show. Is it pokes fun of how stupid everything is, but then starts throwing in whatever humor they want at the same time.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I'm not like, well, I don't understand it.
Yeah,
it's some parts are funny, but I mean, it's not enough parts.
Oh, well, Game of Tron, if you want him to remind you that horrible people exist, one of the main voice actors in that show is Monica Rial, so take that for what you want. She voices Momoko, who's the born-again Betty. She's probably my favorite character of the show, because she's just, like, the most ridiculous stereotype of those kind of, like, 90s evangelical Christians, like the hyper ones that were trying to get everybody. And being in the Bible Belt, I had to deal with people that stereotype actually isn't that far off some of the people. And it made everybody else kind of like, why? You're making us look bad. Go away. But yeah, it's we have got like
They're never gonna go away.
No, they're not. Well, the problem is Puritanism. It exists everywhere. Like, every group has it, and it makes everybody else in a group look worse because of that.
Yeah, it's a fruitless endeavor.
Yeah.
So what I decided to do was just start drawing the script out.
Yeah,
the pages that I already have.
So how are you doing?
Got to keep reminding myself. I got to keep reminding myself to do it in the same style, because I keep wanting to draw it like a person.
Mm-hmm. You're trying to just do some like loose cartoony thumbnails first, and then you go back over and try to etch out the style.
Mm-hmm.
GMT says that you liked Police Squad.
I did?
That's what she says. She says, you told me you like Police Squad, so...
Police Squad.
I don't know what that is.
I like the Naked Gun.
Naked Gun is pretty funny.
Isn't that the name of their business, the Police Squad?
I don't remember. It's been a while since I've seen the Naked Gun. I just remember it was like a hoot.
Maybe, I don't
watch
know.
Those.
So sorry, did I remind GMT that Jamie Markey exists?
Yeah, and then I immediately reminded her that Monica Rial did, because she is the voice of Momoko, the born-again Betty in the series.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, the thing is, you can dislike a person, you can't deny some of these people are actually talented actors, though. Like, I really like her performance as Momoko. And sometimes talented people are just assholes. That's something you have to deal. Actually, more often than not, talented people are assholes, and that's just a fact you're going to have to deal with in life. And you have to deal. You have to decide: is there like assholery? I don't know what would be a good word for that. Worth whatever level of talent they're bringing to the table. Like you got to find that balance, you know.
Mm-hmm. Is she talking about Brianna Wu?
Is she?
And she said something about
next
misdirected
time, Miss. Yeah, probably. That's probably.
Wu? Because I searched for misdirected Wu and I couldn't find it. The only other Wu I could think of was Brianna. But anyway, sorry. GMT said, Metal, why do you hate me?
I don't.
And Elric says, have you heard of your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ? Yeah, there's a lot of funny, like, Christianity in these ghost stories.
Yeah, it's mostly all from Momoko.
Mm-hmm.
Because, well, what's funny too is that they arbitrarily decided just because the kid, I guess, kind of vaguely looks Jewish, I guess, from the eyes of a Japanese person, that they were going to dub one of their friends to be, like, overtly Jewish. Mm-hmm. And that plays against Momoko and stuff, so. Like, there's a very weird dynamic there.
Interesting. Well, so have you played Super Smash Brothers Ultimate?
Yeah, a lot of it.
Okay.
Why, are you looking to throw down?
No. Well, can you explain, going back to the news, the game news here, what is a Spirit Board event?
Okay, so the Spirit Board, in Ultimate, there's these thing called Spirits. They kind of replaced the trophies from the previous games because you can like unlock the trophies of characters and stuff from different games, and it was like a gallery. It was almost like an achievement type thing to unlock them because a lot of them had different requirements. And in this one, the spirits actually do things. You can equip them to your character in certain battles, and they'll give you like an item to spawn with or some type of power up or something. And the Spirit Board is an event you can go directly to fight a character that's got like the spirit's ability, and if you beat it, you unlock that spirit.
Okay.
Yeah. It also kind of replaces the event matches from Melee.
I see. Well, starting tomorrow, January 7th, Age of Calamity, or Smash Brothers Ultimate is adding Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity Spirits.
Oh, that's cool.
So, including Impa, Master Koga, the Egg Guardian, what's his name? Tarako.
Oh yeah, Terracotta, as I'm calling
Terracotta. Right. They call him the Diminutive Guardian.
Yeah. I think I'll call him Mini G.
That's right. There you go. Perfect. Maybe I should call him that from now on. So I'm trying to remember where in the game they figured out his name was Terracotta.
Oh, Terraco?
I guess when Zelda remembers.
Zelda say it at some point in time, yeah.
Yeah, I guess at one point she remembers that she was the one that built him.
yeah, there's some flashbacks and stuff.
Yeah. But it's just like all of a sudden they start calling him by that name. And I'm like, wait a minute. When did they figure out that was his name?
Mini G is a much better name.
That's right. Mini G, Master Koga, and the young Impa are being added as spirits tomorrow.
That's cool.
Also, a developer is putting Flash games on a Game Boy.
Oh, nice. Love Flash games. Which ones?
Yeah. Well, apparently it's only his games.
Well, yeah, I would assume so, because you don't want to violate somebody else's copyright.
Right.
But if you know which developer, that might help.
Well, if stupid GameSpot would just tell me at the top of the article, Anthony Lavelle
Anthony Lavelle. That name actually sounds really familiar.
created Indestructo Tank.
Oh, I know that. Yeah.
Okay.
I've played that.
There is an article on GameSpot about it. I guess he put it on a ROM, which you can apparently play directly on a Game Boy somehow. But you can also play it in an emulator. On a Game Boy emulator. Interestingly.
Well, I think now would be the best time to do something like that too, with the death of Flash and everybody's like consciously aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I played that on Newgrounds. That was 2007, I think, is when Indestructo Tank came out.
Well,
Yeah.
if you want to play it, I'm going to put a link to where you can play it in your browser. I'll put the link in. I just put the link in the chat.
I think you can, for the most part, still play it with Newgrounds, but I think you have to use the. I don't know if the plugin that everybody uses to make Flash emulate works with it, but I do believe the Newgrounds player does, which you can download off of Newgrounds. And if you have it on your computer, old Flash games will automatically launch in the Newgrounds player on your computer.
Mm-hmm.
But some Flash games it doesn't work with because certain things the mouse control just won't map to in the player. That one I think works, but you'd have to check.
Oh, wow. This is a fun game.
Yeah.
I died. Anyway, yeah, I just put a link in there. It's actually really fun, and it's very easy to play in the emulator with a keyboard, because it's really just you use WASD, and I guess A and B both do the same thing.
Yeah.
So you just use this bar to jump. So that was fun.
But rest
Are you showing it? I can't see it.
No,
No, I'm not.
Oh.
I was just playing it for a minute offline there. But I put a link in the chat if anybody wants to check it out. It's, of course, in lovely four pea soup green colors.
just like Rad Ray Gun or anything that is trying to emulate the Game Boy but isn't quite there, because the Game Boy was more like gray with it, and the screen itself was slightly tinted green, so that's why everybody gets that like green image off of it.
Yeah. But anyway, you can also download the actual ROM and play it on your own emulator if you want. Or if you can figure out how to put it on a cartridge, play it on your Game Boy.
Yeah. But Ruffle, that was what I was thinking of. If you still want to be able to play or watch Flash things on your computer, you can go to ruffle.rs. That's it. Ruffle.rs, spelt like the chip, and download it. And it's an extension that can go into your browser. I think there's an app for the computer as well that you can download, and it will basically just, as best as possible, emulate Flash Player without having Adobe source code, basically having to rebuild Flash from the ground up. The problem is it doesn't do, I think, Action 3. It does Action 2 fine, because people who are familiar with Flash, there's Actions 1, 2, and 3 that you used, and it doesn't do Action 3. Some things may still play, but it just doesn't do it yet. They're trying to figure out how to make that work. It's hard without Adobe's data, and Adobe won't release it to anyone, probably because even though Flash is insecure and they won't support it anymore, parts of the code are still used in other things that they're doing today, and they don't want to like jeopardize their patents and copyright and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't blame them, it's their intellectual property, but still, if we had the source code, it'd make it easier for people who still want to do Flash stuff.
Yeah, no kidding. So, Netflix is being removed from, or support for it, whatever, from Wii U and 3DS in June.
Why are they waiting that long? Especially if the eShop for the 3DS is already, you know, not supported. It's dead.
Yeah.
It died on New Year's.
But I guess if you already had it downloaded, it will still work. up until June 30th.
Yeah,
and then
it's still connected to Netflix's server.
Yeah.
Just I don't know why you wouldn't just kill it when the eShop died.
Yeah. Because, like, my mom had an old Blu-ray player that had Netflix on it. And when I first got here, I tried it out, and it wouldn't work. It was like, nope, too old. Wouldn't update. So...
I know we looked into it recently. What was it? Was it 2019 or 18? It wasn't that long ago, but the Wii version still worked until like a couple years ago.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Like, why are you still supporting that? It only uses the old version of Netflix. It just also has all the new titles in it. It's got that gray screen with the red borders.
So here's what I want to know: how come there isn't a Netflix on Switch?
We talked about the whole episode. I have no clue. It makes no sense. I'm assuming they have to cut a deal or something. I mean, they technically don't have to, but I mean,
maybe they'll bring it to Switch on July 1st.
Yeah.
After they take it off of the 3DS and
or maybe they're just done dealing with Nintendo. Maybe they don't like them. Whatever they had to do to work with them.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, not like I don't have a zillion other options to watch Netflix.
Oh, I just watch it on my computer. Like, I know people
still
watch the TV, but it's like... If I'm rewatching something I've seen before, I could just use the pop-out player and have it in the corner while I'm working on stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I can watch it on my phone if I have to.
Yeah.
But
So how do you, in this game, how do you win? What do you do?
I think it's just about high score.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how do you, like, 'cause, like, I'm playing it, and, like, they're just dropping bombs, and then my fuel runs out. What do I do?
Oh, you have to jump. So use the space bar to jump in the air, and you have to land on the helicopters and bounce. You have to move left and right to bounce from helicopter to helicopter and get as many combos as you can.
Okay. I understand.
Yeah. You'll get more points for more combos.
Well, that's something I like about a lot of these old Flash games, is because you're very limited on what you could do in a Flash game when it was older. And you couldn't make like these full-length story games and stuff for a long time. And even after you could, people stuck to the same old method because that was popular. They were basically making cartoon arcade games, because that was what within their ability to make. So it was all about like racking up high scores and stuff like that. And eventually you got, more intricate as more people figured out what they were doing with the programs and stuff like that. But
yeah, I remember doing these Flash games that were like kind of like a puzzle box, where you'd have to click certain things, and then like it would start out like a cube, and then it would open up little doors, and little guys would pop out, and they'd do funny little things.
yeah.
And then you'd have to do something else somewhere else, and it would eventually like blossom into this whole like universe, this whole world, and then you get a certain number of points depending on how many.
I remember one of my favorite ones, I think it's still playable in Newgrounds, was called Continuum. And you're basically, I think you were a stick figure, because a lot of things were stick figures, but all the rooms were like boxes, and you were basically lining up the boxes to go through, and you like turn them and stuff, so the rooms themselves were part of the puzzle, and you basically got different results depending on what room was connected to what, and you were trying to navigate this whole place by changing the room connections. It's a very interesting idea. Or actually, one of my favorite Flash games of all time is The Legend of Zelda and the Lampshade of No Real Importance. There's not really much, like, any gameplay to it whatsoever. It was just kind of like one of those Newgrounds games, where this game is very, very much Newgrounds, and you're playing Link, and he kind of looks like the Wind Waker Link because of the design they were using. And at the very beginning, there's this giant lamp boss. That's like if the Pixar lamp was a demon and had eyes. And you just walk over and unplug it, and the boss battle is over. And you start off, you're trying to get this lampshade at the very end. And you climb up the well, and you're in this Newgrounds like town where there's a bunch of other people. Like, say, Kirby's in there, Samus is in there, Tom Fulp, the guy who runs Newgrounds, is there too. And it's kind of just like an old school, top-down fetch quest exchange game. So you're trying to figure out who's the first person you need to get the item from to start this like chain of passing things down, and everybody's got like quirky little like dialogue and stuff like that. It's barely a game, but it is a game, and I just have a lot of nostalgia for it because of everything that was said, and it's just very much a Newgrounds game.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have a short video of me playing it back in like the early 2010s on my gaming channel. Which we're at the point that we could say the 2010s because we're officially in the 2020s now.
That's
we
right.
kind of were last year, but sometimes the first year when you're at the 0, it just doesn't feel like you're there yet. But when you hit like 2021, it's like, yeah, we're in the 2020s.
Yep, that's right. That was the end of the second decade of the millennium.
Yeah.
We're in the roaring 20s now, boys.
Oh man, and sadly, it's already looking like the last roaring 20s. It looks like there's probably going to be some level of prohibition or censorship on things too. We're going to have... Actually, there's already been speakeasies that popped up because of the lockdowns. So we're like totally fully in the Roaring 20s 2 Electric Boogaloo. Cheers.
Yeah, we already have a wannabe extremist dictator as our vice president. Pretty soon.
We've got a pandemic going around like the Spanish flu.
That's right.
Yeah.
Only this time around, I'm fully expecting bears and cougars to start moving into areas in California.
Okay. How about that?
Did they ever really...
Yeah, because
Mhm.
Well, it's like, thanks to the California fires, which keep on cropping up because people keep doing the same stupid shit over and over and over again, causing new fires, the animals are being, like, pushed closer and closer to even the larger urban areas.
Yeah, but, I mean, you can ask Diller you're in those areas. You're pretty much always under the threat of a bear or a cougar possibly wandering your area because nobody puts them down. They just escort them back out, right?
Yeah. We got the what do you call it? There's a park next to right where I live, and it's just every now and then the cougar just comes down from the mountain and walks along the wash. But again, when he gets closer, they find him. They come and collect him and put him back out there, and then he comes back down.
Yeah. It's like they don't actually have a solution to the problem. They refuse to.
Okay, my fuel ran out. My time was 3 minutes and 55 seconds.
What?
That's his time.
What fuel? What are you talking about?
In the tank.
This game you just sent me.
Oh, gotcha. I got you. Well, good job.
I don't like it.
Okay, you don't have to.
No, I
You
mean
don't
I don't like
like it,
that.
don't lie.
I don't like the fact that I have to use the keyboard as a controller.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry.
well, you know what we used to do, because most games on the internet were either in browser or Flash, or you had like an old CD-ROM game. And people always talk about PC gaming, elitist. It really wasn't until maybe 2006 or whatever when PC gaming really took off. Point-and-click adventures was like the biggest thing, and you'd sometimes get some of the same games, but...
I play the old Oregon Trail like this.
Yeah, you can. But what I was getting at is, for the longest time, if you wanted to play like a Flash game or something, or the few things that were available on PC with a controller, you actually had to use like a key mapper, like Joy to Key, and just have the controller and then set different keys to the buttons on your controller.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's crazy.
But it's
Good luck.
great for Flash games, though.
Yeah, and good luck getting your controller to even connect. Like,
Yeah.
I had an old controller many years ago that actually came with a Bluetooth dongle specifically for it. So that was fairly easy to connect. That would connect up to USB.
For the longest
It was-
time, I had a 6-button, so kind of like a extended Sega controller, Logitech Wingman. For like most of the 90s through the early aughts, we used this controller for the computer, and it actually busted one of our computers just a tiny bit because we'd finally gotten a new computer. We'd upgraded freaking Windows Vista, and the controller worked with it, but it wasn't fully backwards compatible. So there was like this junk file that got built into the registry that we couldn't find to get rid of, and every single time the computer started up, there was like this warning message that popped up about like inerrant hardware. We could still play with the controller, but we should have never plugged it in the first place. And even if you hit OK or cancel or try to exit out, the error would just pop back up. So basically our only solution to it was to drag it to the corner of the screen and forget about it. Like just like off screen. All because of this dumb Logitech controller that now in hindsight I'm actually blaming Windows Vista for way more than Logitech. Because fucking Windows Vista is probably the worst, by far the worst operating system Microsoft has ever put out. And anybody could try to debate me on that. I don't care. Vista was the worst.
I agree. I have a laptop. I don't know if you can see it from here. Probably not. Yeah, there you can. It's right under that lamp. It was the last laptop that my father ever owned, and it had Windows Vista on it. And I wiped it. I got all of his files off as soon as I could, and wiped it and installed Windows 10. We're going to see how that works.
Yeah.
Because Vista was absolutely awful.
Well, as long as it didn't run under Vista for too long, because Vista was programmed so poorly that it would sometimes actually kill computers' hardware.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
That's what I'm a little worried about, because when I brought it up with Windows 10, and it didn't, not immediately, but shortly after booting it up for the first time, it did crash, and I'm worried that Vista may have permanently destroyed it. But it might have just been a fluke, so I'm gonna bring it back up, see if it works.
Yep. Well, with that, we come to the end of the Vomitorium. I enjoyed this episode, especially with our little dumbass mock reward show. Thanks everybody for coming on. And
You're welcome.
yeah. We'll see you guys next time. In the meantime, you can support the show through any of the links that are found in the descriptions of these live channels, or through the Vomitorium PayPal, or not PayPal, Patreon, or through my PayPal, paypal.me/I'mInAMetal. And go and grab the buckler, which is in demand now. It is a surefire thing that's going to happen, and you even get a bonus 28-page story because it passed the $10,000 mark.
Hooray!
Yeah.
It passed the $11,000 mark.
It did, yeah. But the 10,000 was the important one for that statement.
Yeah.
And we'll catch you guys later. Take it easy.